Good morning, my dear friend. The world is still hushed in that sacred pause before sunrise. The air is cool, the horizon just beginning to whisper its light. And for one brief moment, the earth itself seems to be holding its breath. This is the hour when hearts can listen, when the noise of yesterday has not yet returned, and when the soul feels closest to something eternal. Maybe you are sitting beside a window, a cup of warmth in your hands, feeling the first glow of morning touch your face. Maybe this day arrives not with excitement, but with a quiet ache you cannot name. Somewhere right now, someone is waking up to a house that feels emptier than it used to. The chair across the table is still vacant. A loved one is gone, and silence has replaced laughter. Another person opens their eyes with the weight of bills unpaid. Relationships strained, and dreams deferred. And perhaps you too carry a hidden heaviness and uncertainty about the future. A fear that has been whispering in the dark hours of the night. The kind of fear that makes sleep thin and prayer feel distant. You might wonder if anyone truly sees you, if heaven still remembers your name. But even here, in this fragile dawn, there is hope. The same God who paints light across the sky has not forgotten how to bring light to your soul. Every sunrise is a reminder night never wins forever. Darkness yields because it must. Pain, no matter how sharp, is never the final sentence. Somewhere between your first breath and the rising sun, grace begins to move again. Not loudly, not with fanfare, but like the gentle stirring of wind through leaves, a promise that new strength is on its way. You and I are about to step into that promise, not by escaping reality, but by meeting it with faith. Prayer is not a retreat from the world. It is the power that reshapes it. It is where fear loses its vocabulary and hope finds its voice. When you speak with God, you are not talking into empty air, you are speaking into eternity. And eternity listens. There is a mystery in that exchange. The more we pour out our weakness, the more heaven fills it with strength. The more we surrender, the freer we become. So this morning, I invite you to pause with intention. Let your thoughts settle. Let the stillness wash over you like first light on quiet water. Do not rush to understand or to fix everything that aches. Simply bring it here. Bring the questions that have no answers. The wounds you have tried to hide. The memories that still sting. Bring your gratitude to the small mercies that survived the storm and lay them side by side with your sorrow. This is where the journey begins. In the minutes ahead, you will walk through words shaped by faith, reflection, and honest longing. You will not be asked to perform or pretend. You will be invited to remember who you are and whose you are, to rediscover that the Creator of the dawn has already spoken purpose over your life. This time together is not about religion. It is about relationship. About being still enough to hear the whisper that says, you are not alone, and you never were. Take a deep breath. Feel the quiet strength rising in your chest. The same breath that animates the morning is breathing in you now. Let today be the beginning of a new conversation, one where you stop running from your pain and start walking with your purpose. Let faith be the bridge between what you see and what you hope for. And as the light stretches across the sky, let it stretch across your heart too. revealing not just the path ahead, but the presence that walks with you on it. Welcome to the morning. Welcome to the sacred dialogue between your soul and the one who never sleeps. Dear Heavenly Father, the world is still quiet, and the air feels like it has been washed clean by night. The first light of morning trembles at the edge of the sky, and I find myself here, breathing slowly, trying to gather the scattered pieces of my heart. I come before you, not with perfect words, but with honesty. My soul is weary, my thoughts are tangled, and I confess that sometimes I wake up carrying yesterday's weight before the day has even begun. Yet even now, in the tender silence before the world stirs, I sense you near. The gentle rhythm of my breath reminds me that you are the giver of all life, and this moment, this quiet beginning, is proof that mercy has returned again. I stand on the threshold of a new day, unsure of what awaits me, but I do not want to step into it without you. Too often I have tried to move forward by my own strength, pretending to be strong while my spirit trembles inside. But this morning, I pause. I refuse to rush past this sacred hour. I choose to meet you here, in the stillness where truth can breathe. I bring you the parts of me that I would rather hide, the doubts, the disappointments, the exhaustion I pretend not to feel. I bring the questions that keep circling in my mind, and the fears that sit like stones in my chest. I bring all of it, because you already see it, and there is no need to pretend in your presence. I whisper to you what I have not been able to tell anyone else. I feel the ache of uncertainty pressing against my ribs. There are dreams I have stopped believing in, prayers I have grown tired of repeating, and battles I do not have the strength to fight again. Sometimes I fear that my faith is too small, that my hope has been stretched too thin to hold on. But here, in the soft light of dawn, I am reminded that even the smallest flame still burns, and even a single seed in the dark soil can carry a forest inside it. If you can awaken the sun every morning, you can awaken courage within me again. So I stand here, in this fragile piece, asking you to teach me how to begin. Show me how to breathe without anxiety, how to trust without needing to control, how to rise without carrying yesterday's mistakes into today. Help me see this morning not as another cycle of exhaustion, but as a gift, a new canvas that you have already brushed with grace. Let the light spilling across the horizon also reach the hidden corners of my soul. Let it chase away the shadows of shame and regret that I keep tucked behind my smiles. Let it warm the cold parts of me that forgot what it feels like to hope. I do not come asking for perfection. I come asking for presence. Because if you are here, even the broken things inside me can still become beautiful. If you are near, I can face what I once feared. And if your love truly renews every dawn, then nothing that happened yesterday has the power to define today. Teach me to believe that again. Remind me that grace does not wait for me to have it all together. It meets me in the middle of my mess, wraps itself around my weakness, and whispers that I am still yours. I look toward the east, where the sky is slowly turning gold, and I feel the quiet invitation of your voice saying, "Come." You are not demanding. You are gentle. You do not push. You draw near. You wait for me to lift my eyes, to unclench my fists, to remember that the world does not rest on my shoulders. It rests in your hands. I release what I cannot control, the conversations that went wrong, the people I cannot fix, the future I cannot predict. I surrender them to you, not because I have given up, but because I want to live free. I want to walk through this day light-hearted, unburdened, steady in the knowing that I am not alone. Let this morning be more than a routine. Let it be a beginning. Let something sacred awaken within me, something deeper than ambition or fear, something born of quiet trust. Let faith rise in small ways, a calm mind, a softened heart, a willingness to see your fingerprints in ordinary things. Remind me that the first light of day is a mirror of your faithfulness, constant and unearned. While the world rushes toward noise and need, I will stay here a little longer, listening for the soft echo of your love in the silence. And even when the day grows loud again, let this calm remain, like a hidden river beneath everything I do. Father, I step into this day as I am unfinished, unsure, but willing. I step forward knowing that I cannot see what lies ahead, yet trusting that you already stand there waiting. You are the author of every sunrise, and you have written mercy into the margins of my life. I may stumble, but your hands are steady. I may doubt, but your promises are sure. So I will not measure my faith by how strong I feel. I will measure it by my choice to trust you again. Here, now, in this quiet dawn, the air is changing, the light is growing, and my heart is learning once more to believe. Lord, the morning deepens, and the sky slowly opens like a curtain drawn by invisible hands. I can feel the warmth stretching across the earth, and it feels as if you are speaking through the light itself. The silence that surrounded me moments ago now hums with quiet purpose, as if the day itself is listening for your word. I come to you again, still carrying the softness of that silence, still tender from the honesty I found before. My heart is steadier now, my breathing calmer, and in this stillness I realize how deeply I need you. I have tried to shape my days with my own understanding, but without you, even my strength leads me in circles. So I turn my face toward you, like the morning turns toward the sun, and I ask you to be the first thought that fills my mind, the first name that steadies my soul. God. There are so many voices waiting for my attention. Before the world begins to shout its demands, I want to hear yours. I want to start not with urgency, but with alignment. I know that every moment ahead will ask something from me: patience, courage, love, but none of those things can grow without your presence. The truth is that I am small without you. My ideas, my efforts, my good intentions fade quickly when they are not anchored in your truth. Yet when you breathe on them, even small beginnings carry eternal weight. So let this be the hour when my eyes turn upward, when my focus shifts from what I cannot control to the one who controls all things. Father, I confess that my heart often wanders. I rush toward tasks, plans, screens, and conversations before I have even paused to recognize you standing near. I fill the silence with noise, afraid of what I might feel if I sit still long enough to listen. But today, I want to listen. I want to hear what you are saying beneath the noise of my thoughts. I want to feel the peace that comes not from answers, but from awareness. Let this be a day when I am guided, not driven. Let this be a morning where direction is born not from pressure, but from your quiet whisper. You remind me that looking toward you does not mean escaping my reality. It means seeing it differently. The same landscape can look ordinary or sacred depending on where I fix my gaze. When I look only at the ground, I see dust. When I look toward you, even the dust begins to shimmer with purpose. The path ahead might still be uneven, but it is no longer lonely. Because when I walk in awareness of you, every step becomes part of a story larger than myself. Every challenge becomes a canvas for grace. Every person I meet becomes a reflection of your image, waiting to be recognized. Teach me, Lord, to turn toward you not once, but again and again throughout the day. When frustration rises, help me to lift my eyes instead of my voice. When fear creeps in, help me to breathe your name before I speak my worry. When distractions come, remind me that peace is not lost, it only waits for me to look back toward you. I want my thoughts to orbit around your goodness, not my own uncertainty. I want my emotions to find balance in your promises, not in changing circumstances. And even when I forget, call me back gently, the way the tide always finds the shore. The light outside grows brighter, and I feel it brushing against the window like a soft reminder. You are not far. You never were. You wait patiently each morning for my attention, not because you need it, but because you know I do. When I finally look to you, something inside me unclenches. The day no longer feels like a burden to survive, but a journey to walk with you. The simple act of turning my eyes toward heaven shifts the entire atmosphere of my heart. It is not that my problems disappear. It is that your presence changes their proportion. Worries shrink in the light of your greatness. Fear loses its grip in the warmth of your love. God, let me carry this awareness into everything I touch today. Let my work be prayer in motion. Let my conversations be soaked in grace. Let my pauses between tasks be small altars where I realign with you. Keep me from separating the sacred from the ordinary. Let every breath be communion, every act a form of worship. If my mind begins to wander, tether it gently back to gratitude. If my heart drifts toward doubt, anchor it in remembrance of your faithfulness. You are not only the God of great miracles, but also of quiet mornings like this, where faith is built one steady breath at a time. So I choose to begin again right here, in this golden hour where light stretches across the world like mercy unfolding. I choose to look up. I choose to trust that what I see is not all that exists. I choose to turn my face toward you and believe that even now, before I take another step, you have already gone ahead of me. The path may twist and fade, but your hand does not. And as I rise from this stillness, I carry within me a single, steady truth. When I look to you, everything else finds its rightful place. Lord, the light has now fully arrived, and the air feels alive with quiet promise. The room is filled with the soft hum of morning, and I can almost hear creation breathing. My heart follows the rhythm of this stillness, remembering the gentle turning toward you that began in the silence before dawn. I realize that peace is not something to be chased. It is something to be received. I have spent so many mornings trying to fix, control, or predict, but this one feels different. There is a calmness that does not come from solving anything. It comes from surrender. The more I let go, the lighter I become. The more I listen, the clearer everything sounds. And in that clarity, I can feel you whispering, not through words, but through the quiet itself. Father, I confess that peace often feels fragile to me. It seems to slip through my fingers the moment life grows loud. One phone call, one worry, one careless word from someone I love, and suddenly the calm disappears, replaced by that familiar ache of tension beneath my ribs. But this morning, you remind me that true peace is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of trust. It does not depend on silence outside me, but stillness within me. It is not fragile because it does not come from me. It flows from you, steady as the air I breathe. So here I am, sitting quietly, drawing in the breath you give and letting it settle deep, deep inside the corners of my being. With every inhale, I receive your calm. With every exhale, I release everything that tries to steal it. God, I want to learn how to live from this quiet place, not just visit it. I want to move through the day as if I am walking beside a slow river, steady and sure, no matter how busy the world around me becomes. I know there will be moments when I forget, when my heart begins to race again. But remind me then to return to this rhythm, the rhythm of your peace. Let me remember that the same air that fills my lungs now is the breath that hovered over creation, the same breath that brings order from chaos, the same spirit that renews all things. When I breathe, I am not just keeping myself alive. I am agreeing with you that life itself is a gift. Lord, teach me how to listen to the sound of peace. Sometimes it is a whisper through the leaves, sometimes a pause between sentences, sometimes a quiet conviction that steadies me in the middle of confusion. When I feel anxious, let me stop before reacting. When I feel threatened, help me pause before defending myself. Let peace stand guard at the door of my thoughts before fear has a chance to enter. Let your gentleness be the shield that protects me from my own impatience. Let me remember that calm is not weakness, it is strength under control. It is knowing that I do not have to fight for what you have already secured. I have carried so much weight that was never mine to bear. Expectations, responsibilities, comparisons, they pile up quietly until my soul forgets how to breathe. But now, in your presence, I set them down, one by one. I release them into the stillness. I let go of the need to prove, to hurry, to always be enough. You never ask that of me. You simply ask me to come, to rest, to abide. So I come, I rest, I breathe. I am learning that peace is not something distant or rare. It is as close as my next breath when I remember who holds it. Father, as this peace begins to settle deeper, I feel gratitude rising like warmth in my chest. Gratitude for this moment, for the softness of the morning, for the chance to begin again without fear. Gratitude that even when I do not understand the path ahead, I can walk it without panic because you walk it with me. Let that awareness become my anchor today. When voices of doubt return, remind me that they are not the final word. When uncertainty comes, remind me that peace is not a feeling I chase, but a truth I choose. When the day begins to rush, slow me down just enough to notice your nearness again. There is something holy about the quiet that lingers after prayer. It feels like the pause between waves, like the hush before the dawn's full brightness. In that hush, I hear your heart for me, not demands, not disappointment, only invitation. You invite me to trust that your peace is not temporary, that it can follow me into meetings, into traffic, into the noise of life. You remind me that calmness is not escape. It is courage disguised as rest. And maybe this is the miracle I need most, not a change of circumstance, but a change of rhythm. God, I do not want to leave this peace behind when I stand up. I want to carry it like fragrance, invisible but unmistakable. Let every word I speak today carry the tone of calm assurance. Let every choice come from still waters, not from storms of fear. Let my presence be a soft echo of yours, a quiet that steadies others, a calm that reminds them they too are safe. And when I fail, when the noise grows too heavy, remind me that peace is never lost. It only waits patiently for me to return. So I sit a moment longer, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of the world fall away one breath at a time. I do not need to fix the day before it begins. I do not need to understand what tomorrow will bring. I only need to receive what you are giving me now, this holy stillness, this deep assurance that I am held, known, and loved. The sun climbs higher outside, and the world stirs awake, but my soul remains quiet, aligned, and alive. Peace is here, not as a visitor, but as a home, and I am learning how to dwell within it. Father, the peace that settled in the quiet of this morning still lingers like a calm river inside me. The air feels gentle, almost alive, and I can sense that you are inviting me to go deeper, not just to rest in stillness, but to listen. The silence has cleared a space where your word can fall like rain. I realize now that peace without truth is only temporary. It soothes for a moment, but cannot sustain the soul. What my heart longs for is not just comfort, but alignment and inner harmony with the words you have already spoken. Your word does not simply inform. It transforms. It meets me exactly where I am and calls me toward who I am meant to become. Lord, I open my heart like soil that has waded through a long season of drought. There are parts of me that have grown hard, places that have forgotten how to receive. But even dry ground can drink again when rain begins to fall. Let your word soften me. Let it sink deep where shallow hopes once lived. Let it undo the lies that life and fear have built over time. I do not want to merely hear familiar verses and move on unchanged. I want them to take root, to reshape the way I think, the way I speak, the way I see myself and others. Let your truth settle in the hidden places of my mind and grow something lasting there. God, sometimes I come to your word looking for quick answers, treating it like a map that must lead me out of confusion. But the longer I walk with you, The more I see that Scripture is not a tool, it is a voice. It is your heartbeat written in words, steady and faithful across generations. It does not just tell me where to go. It tells me who you are. And when I remember who you are, I begin to remember who I am too. Every line, every promise, every whisper of hope, it all draws me back to the center of truth, that you are good, unchanging, and near. Father, let your word be the sound that orders my day. Before I scroll through the noise of the world, let me hear you first. Before I make decisions, let me remember your promises. Before I react, let me recall your wisdom. Let every verse I have ever read come alive, when I need it most, rising to the surface like light through water. When doubt tries to take hold, remind me of your faithfulness in ages past. When worry grows loud, remind me of every time you have kept me safe. When temptation whispers, remind me that obedience brings freedom, not loss. I remember the times when I have wandered far from your word, chasing the comfort of my own understanding. Those were the seasons when confusion multiplied, when I felt heavy and disoriented. But when I returned to your voice, clarity came like sunrise, soft, steady, undeniable. I do not want to live in half light anymore. I want to walk in the full brightness of truth. Your word is not a burden. It is a compass that always points home. Even when I drift, it does not condemn me, it calls me back. It reminds me that the same grace that forgives also guides. Lord, help me to carry your word not as a memory, but as a living presence. Let it travel with me beyond this morning, woven into the rhythm of my thoughts. Let it speak through my choices when I face decisions that test my integrity. Let it echo in my mind when the world tries to blur the line between right and almost right. Give me discernment that is quiet but strong, wisdom that listens before it answers, courage that stands when it would be easier to bend. Let my faith be more than feelings. Let it be built on the solid ground of what you have said and who you are. Sometimes I forget that your word has power, even when my emotions are still uncertain. It does not depend on how I feel. It simply is. It does not fade when the day grows dark. It keeps its promise because you keep yours. So when the storms of doubt rise, I will remember. The same voice that calmed the sea still speaks peace into my heart. The same word that formed the stars still shapes my destiny. I may not understand every mystery, but I know this: your word does not return empty. It accomplishes what you intend, even in me. Father, let your word today be both mirror and window. Let it show me where my heart is misaligned, and let it open my vision to what is possible through faith. If I read it slowly, let it read me too. If I meditate on a single phrase, let that phrase stay alive until it bears fruit. When the day grows complicated, remind me that I have something unshakable to return to, a voice that never changes, a promise that never fades, a truth that never fails. As I sit in the soft morning light, I imagine each word of Scripture like drops of rain falling on tender ground. Some land on familiar places, others reach depths I did not know were dry. Each drop carries life, quiet and unstoppable. It may take time to see what grows, but I trust that growth is happening even now, unseen beneath the surface. I will not rush the process. I will let your word do its work in me, reshaping thoughts, restoring peace, rebuilding hope. The day stretches ahead, full of unknowns, but I am not walking into it empty-handed. I carry the weight of truth within me. It is my shelter when I am afraid, my light when I lose direction, my nourishment when I grow weary. Every moment, I can return to it like returning to breath. Your word steadies me the way gravity steadies the earth, constant, unseen, essential. I step into the day aware of that invisible strength, grateful that what you have spoken over me will never be withdrawn. Let it be written not only on pages, but on my life itself, that whoever meets me today might feel a glimpse of its grace, as if they too had been caught in gentle rain. Father, as the words of your truth continue to echo softly within me, I feel their weight and comfort resting deep in my heart. Your word has already begun to shift something inside me. It loosens the grip I have had on things I was never meant to control. The rain of your voice has softened the soil of my soul. And now you are asking me to let go, to open my hands and trust that what I release will not be lost. It is difficult, Lord. My mind clings to outcomes, to results, to the illusion of control that keeps me safe. But I know that faith cannot bloom in clenched fists, so I come to you with trembling honesty, learning once again what surrender really means. God, there are dreams I have guarded so tightly that I forgot to let you breathe life into them. There are prayers I have tried to answer myself, as if you needed my help to make them come true. And there are fears I have nurtured quietly, because at least they were familiar. But you are not asking me to fix what I cannot fix. You are asking me to trust what I cannot see. You remind me that surrender is not giving up, it is coming home. It is the moment when my striving ceases and my soul finally rests in the truth that you are enough. Lord, I open my hands now. In one hand I hold the things I love, the people I cherish, the hopes I still believe for, the work that gives my days meaning. In the other, I hold the pain, the disappointments, the losses, the prayers that have not yet been answered, and I realize both hands are full, leaving no room for new grace to enter. So I loosen my grip. I release the fear that if I let go, everything will fall apart. I release the thought that I must always understand what you are doing. I release the idea that my worth depends on what I can achieve. I place everything into your hands, because they are stronger, wiser, and kinder than mine will ever be. Father, you have taught me that surrender is not a single act. It is a rhythm. It must happen again and again each morning, each decision, each breath. I used to think surrender meant weakness, but now I see it is the greatest act of strength, because it declares that my confidence is no longer in myself, but in you. When I release control, I am not falling into uncertainty. I am falling into grace. It is here, in this space between fear and trust, that I finally find peace. God, I confess that I sometimes come to you with my own blueprints, asking you to bless my plans rather than seek yours. But today, I am laying them down. The future is not a project for me to manage. It is a mystery to be received. Teach me to live one obedient step at a time, not running ahead, not lagging behind, simply walking where your presence leads. When outcomes tempt me to measure success by numbers or applause, remind me that obedience is its own reward. Let faith be the measure of my progress, and love be the evidence of my success. You know the hidden corners of my thoughts, the moments I replay in my mind, trying to rewrite what cannot be changed. You see how I wrestle with the need to make sense of everything, to connect the pieces into a picture that feels complete. But you do not ask me to see the full picture. You ask me to trust the artist. You promise that all things, whether bright or broken, are being woven together into something good. And even if I never see the pattern clearly, I will choose to believe that your design is worth waiting for. Lord, help me to find freedom in not knowing. Let me be content to live with unanswered questions, trusting that silence is not absence. Teach me the patience to wait without panic and the humility to act without certainty. When my heart wants to rush ahead, whisper that you are already there. When I feel like nothing is happening, remind me that seeds do their growing underground. When I am tempted to take back what I have released, let me remember that your timing is a language of love, not delay. Father, I lift my eyes from the horizon of my own plans and look at the sky above me. Every sunrise unfolds without my permission. Every star burns without my understanding. And still the world holds steady in your care. If you can govern the heavens, you can guide my small life. If you can keep galaxies in motion, you can order my steps. So I will rest in that truth. I will not fear missing what is meant for me, because what you appoint cannot be stolen. I will not cling to what is fading, because what you remove was never meant to anchor me. I feel the quiet relief that comes after release, the kind of peace that hums softly beneath the heart. It is not dramatic, but it is real. I can breathe again. I do not have to carry the world or orchestrate outcomes that belong to you. I only need to stay open, to keep my hands ready, to receive whatever you choose to give and to let go of whatever you ask me to release. There is beauty in this posture of trust. It feels like standing barefoot on holy ground, where nothing needs to be forced because everything belongs. God, keep me in this place of surrender when the day grows heavy. When I am tempted to grasp again, gently remind me that I am held. When I worry about tomorrow, remind me that you are already there preparing it. When I question why things unfold the way they do, remind me that surrender is not blindness, it is faith with open eyes. Let every small act today be an echo of this moment, when I choose to open my hands, to breathe, and to trust that nothing placed in your care is ever lost. Lord, as I rest in this quiet trust you have been teaching me, I feel the shift from stillness to motion. The world is beginning to awaken. Distant sounds of life rise slowly into the air. This moment feels sacred, the border between prayer and action, between the unseen and the tangible. The surrender I offered to you now asks to become something visible, something lived. I realize that faith must walk, not only kneel. So before I take the first steps into this new day, I invite you to walk with me. I do not want to move from this peace into chaos. I want to move from this peace into purpose. Father, I have often filled my days with doing instead of being, mistaking business for meaning. I have allowed the clock to dictate my worth, running through hours as if they were enemies to conquer instead of gifts to steward. But this morning, I ask you to teach me a new rhythm, a rhythm of grace that balances work with wonder, discipline with delight. Help me to see time not as something slipping away, but as something unfolding under your careful hand. Every hour holds potential for love, growth, and kindness. If only I enter it with intention. You know the tasks that await me today. The conversations, responsibilities, and small interruptions that will weave together to form its shape. Help me to meet each one with the awareness that nothing is too ordinary to be holy when done with love. Let my work, however small, carry the fragrance of devotion. Let my effort not be hurried but wholehearted, grounded in the peace that comes from knowing who I serve. I am not working for approval. I am walking in alignment with purpose. The same God who breathes galaxies into motion also orders my calendar. And that truth is enough to settle me when the hours feel heavy. God, show me how to begin well before my mind scatters into a dozen directions. Help me to pause and ask, what matters most to you today? Let that question become the compass of my decisions. If I must choose between what is urgent and what is eternal, teach me to choose wisely. Keep my heart awake to the subtle nudges of your spirit that redirect my steps when I drift toward distraction. Help me to listen when you whisper, "Not now," or "Wait," or "This is enough." I do not want to live by reaction, but by revelation, responding not to pressure, but to purpose. Father, grant me the clarity to see the divine hidden inside the daily. When I fold laundry, let me remember the tenderness of service. When I answer an email, remind me that integrity lives in the smallest acts. When I cross paths with someone who seems unkind, let patience be my answer and grace my language. Let me live this day as if every moment is an altar, where I can offer something beautiful to you, because it is. Even the simplest task, when done with love, becomes a prayer that rises like incense. Sometimes I fear I will waste the day, that my energy will scatter, and my heart will end it empty. But you are teaching me that nothing is wasted when given to you. Even the interruptions can be invitations. Even delays can hide direction if plans change. Help me not to panic, but to look for your fingerprints in the rearrangement. When things unfold differently than I imagined, remind me that purpose is not lost, it is just disguised in new form. Let flexibility become faith in motion, a quiet confidence that you are orchestrating even the unseen details. Lord, give me strength to carry both focus and softness, the discipline to complete what I begin, and the compassion to pause when someone needs my attention more than a finished task. Guard me from irritation when things move slowly, and protect me from pride when they move quickly. Help me to honor this day not by what I accomplish, but by how I abide. Let peace remain the current beneath every thought, so that even in the middle of noise, I still move in the flow of your calm. God, let my words today carry weight that heals, not harm. Let them be measured, patient, and full of life. Remind me that how I speak can build or break, And that purpose is often revealed in the way I treat people rather than the plans I pursue. When I am tempted to rush past someone's pain, slow me down enough to see them. Let compassion interrupt me in holy ways. Let kindness become the language I speak without effort, flowing from the peace you have planted in me. There will be moments today when I feel overwhelmed, when time seems too short and strength too small. In those moments, pull me back to this quiet center where I first met you this morning. Let me remember that my worth is not measured by finished lists or visible progress, by presence yours and mine together. When anxiety whispers that I am behind, remind me that I am exactly where you want me to be when I walk in obedience. When weariness sets in, remind me that rest is not laziness, but faith in your sufficiency. Father, I want to live today not as one who chases meaning, but as one who carries it. Let purpose flow naturally from peace, and peace from your presence. May the work of my hands mirror the stillness of my heart, and may every decision, big or small, trace the outline of your wisdom. Keep me from rushing through grace, from measuring my life by speed instead of surrender. Let each hour unfold like a prayer in motion, steady, attentive, and filled with quiet joy. As I prepare to take the first steps into this new day, I do so not in haste but in harmony. The surrender of yesterday becomes the direction of today. The calm of morning becomes the courage for what is ahead. You go before me, and I follow not out of fear, but trust. And so I rise with purpose, not the restless kind that burns out, but the steady kind that burns bright, illuminating the path one step at a time. Father, the path you have laid before me stretches out quietly, and though the morning still holds its peace, I can already feel the edges of the day pressing in. The world beyond this stillness is not always gentle. I know that before this day ends, I will meet moments that test the calm you have placed in me. Challenges will come without warning. Interruptions will demand more than I feel able to give. And there will be dry places where faith feels thin. Yet even as I think of these things, you remind me that courage does not begin in strength. It begins in trust. And trust begins here, in the soft light of morning, where I remember that you go before me into every place I fear to walk. Lord, I have walked through deserts of the soul before, seasons where prayer felt like silence and hope seemed buried under disappointment. Those were the places that taught me how to listen for water beneath the dust. You are the one who can make streams flow in barren ground, who can draw life from what looks lifeless. So today, when I step into hard conversations, heavy tasks, or uncertain decisions, help me remember that you are already there, waiting like a hidden spring when I face what feels impossible. Let me look again not at the obstacle, but at the space where your presence is quietly working behind it. God, sometimes the hardest places are not physical at all. They are the quiet battles inside my mind, the thoughts that whisper failure, the memories that tell me I am not enough. When those voices rise, teach me to speak truth louder. Remind me that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to keep walking even when fear follows close behind. You never asked me to be fearless. You asked me to be faithful. And faith means moving forward when I would rather turn back. So when the day demands more than I can give, let my first step be toward you, not away. There are moments when I see the mountain ahead and feel my heart shrink. The climb looks steep, and I wonder if I have the strength to endure it. But then I remember how you have carried me before. Every valley I have passed through was not an ending, but a beginning. Every storm that once frightened me has now become proof of your faithfulness. You have never left me stranded, and you will not start now. If the path leads through wilderness, then you will bring water. If it leads through fire, then you will be the flame that purifies, not destroys. There is no terrain where your grace cannot reach me. Father, I ask for courage that is steady, not loud, a courage that stands quietly when others crumble, that keeps its peace in the face of anger, that chooses gentleness even when provoked. Give me the bravery to forgive when bitterness would feel easier, to hope when cynicism seems more logical, to love when indifference would cost less. Let this courage come not from confidence in myself, but from certainty in you. Remind me that I do not walk into hard places alone. Even when I cannot see you, I can trust that your shadow covers me and your spirit strengthens me. When I find myself standing in the middle of difficulty, surrounded by what feels like dry ground, let me remember that you are both the well and the rain. You are not limited by the barrenness I see. You are the God who speaks to the desert and tells it to bloom, so I will not despise the dry seasons, for they teach me dependence. I will not curse the wilderness, for it strips away illusions and reveals the essentials of faith. If my hands feel empty, it is only to make room for something new. If my heart feels stretched, it is only to grow the space where trust can dwell. Lord, give me eyes to notice the small miracles along the way, the brief kindness of a stranger, the unexpected moment of laughter, the quiet strength that appears just when I need it. These are the streams you send through my dry ground. Let gratitude keep them flowing. Let me not miss the beauty hidden within the hard places, the lesson that patience teaches, the resilience born from struggle, the compassion carved from pain. You waste nothing. Even what hurts becomes holy when placed in your hands. Sometimes courage is simply choosing to show up again, to try, to speak, to believe. Remind me that persistence itself is a prayer, that showing up with faith is worship in motion. When discouragement whispers that nothing is changing, let me feel the quiet pulse of your work beneath the surface. Growth rarely announces itself. It happens in hidden soil. So even if I see no progress, I will trust that the roots of faith are reaching deeper. God, teach me to carry this courage gently. Let it not harden into pride or cold self-reliance, but stay soft enough to weep with others, strong enough to lift them, and humble enough to ask for help when I need it. Let courage not isolate me, but connect me, making me a safe place for those who are struggling, the same way you pour living water into my weary spirit. Let me pour encouragement into others. Let every word I speak today remind someone that hope still breathes. As I take the next step into this day, I can feel the weight of both fear and faith pressing against each other in my chest. But I choose faith. I choose to believe that even the drenched soil can become fertile ground when watered by your grace. I choose to trust that nothing ahead of me will surprise you. and nothing within me is beyond redemption. I will walk into hard places, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a carrier of promise. The same power that split seas and raised life from death lives within me. Quietly, steadily, waiting to be lived out. So here I stand at the edge of the unknown, my heart steady though my knees may tremble. I will walk forward, one step at a time, into the places that stretch me, into the moments that require more than I have. And as I do, I will remember, you are the stream in my desert, the strength in my weakness, the courage in my fear. Every step I take is not into emptiness, but into the promise that you are already there. Father, the courage you have placed within me begins to steady into something deeper trust that does not demand proof. As I breathe into this new hour, I sense that courage alone is not enough. It needs to be nourished. The wilderness of life may test my strength, but it also reveals how faithfully you provide. There are places in me that still hunger, not only for food or success, but for assurance that I am seen and sustained. Yet you whisper that provision is not always grand or obvious. Sometimes it is quiet and near, waiting to be noticed. Today, I want to see it all. I want to recognize the small ways you feed my soul before I even know I am hungry. Lord, you are the one who sets a table even in the wilderness. You do not remove the desert. You prepare a feast right in the middle of it. I have spent so much time asking you to change my surroundings when what you really wanted was to change my sight. Help me to see that every place, even the barren ones, holds the possibility of blessing. Sometimes your provision looks like opportunity, but sometimes it looks like endurance. Sometimes it is abundance overflowing, but sometimes it is simply enough to get through the day. Teach me to honor both. There have been days when I have felt empty, days when the cupboards of my heart echoed with lack. Yet looking back, I see how you sent provision through unexpected hands, words, and moments. It was the friend who reached out when loneliness pressed in, the chance that came just when resources ran out, the peace that arrived uninvited but right on time. You never promised that I would always have plenty, but you did promise that I would never be forsaken. Even when my plans fell apart, your presence held everything together. God, today ask not for luxury, but for sufficiency. Let the bread of contentment replace the hunger of comparison. Let gratitude become my appetite, so that I am filled by what already exists instead of what I lack. I do not need more to know I am blessed. I only need clearer eyes. Give me the wisdom to recognize the miracle hidden in the ordinary, the water that still flows, the breath that continues, the heart that beats faithfully beneath every worry. Each pulse is a reminder that you are still giving, still sustaining, still enough. Father, I also bring to you the practical needs that weigh on me. Bills waiting to be paid, obligations to fulfill, mouths to feed, futures to prepare for. You are not distant from these details. You see the strain that hides behind my calm expression. You know the fatigue that follows responsibility. I trust that you will provide not only what I need, but the wisdom to use it well. Let resources come from places I cannot predict, and let generosity flow through me as easily as it flows to me. Keep me from clutching provision as if it were permanent. Remind me it is meant to be passed along. You are the giver, and I am the steward. Lord, teach me to find joy in the simplicity of enough. When I eat, let me taste gratitude. When I work, let me remember that effort itself is a gift. When I rest, let me know that rest is part of your provision too. Protect me from the illusion that more will make me secure. The manna you provided to Israel was never meant to be hoarded. It spoiled when they kept too much because you wanted them to trust you daily. I want that same trust, the kind that gathers just enough for today and leaves tomorrow in your hands. God, when I meet someone in need, let me not turn away. Let me be aware that sometimes I am the answer to someone else's prayer for provision. Help me to give without calculating, to share without fear of running out. Because the truth is, I will never outgive you. The more I pour out, the more you refill. Let my table stretch wider, not with excess, but with inclusion. Let every blessing I hold be shaped by open hands, not closed fists. Father, help me remember that provision is not only physical, it is emotional, spiritual, relational. Provide peace where there is anxiety, laughter where there has been grief, clarity where confusion lingers. Feed my spirit with joy that is not dependent on circumstance. Let your word be the daily bread that nourishes me deeper than any meal could. When my heart begins to crave things that cannot satisfy, redirect my appetite toward what truly sustains your presence. Your promises, your purpose. Sometimes, Lord, the wilderness looks like routine, the same walls, the same work, the same waiting. It can feel like nothing is changing, yet you are quietly providing strength beneath the surface. You sustain me through monotony as surely as through miracles. The table you set for me may not look like I imagined, but it is enough. It is always enough. And as I eat from it, I am reminded that provision is not a sign of luck, but of love. As I move through this day, let me carry the awareness of this invisible table. Wherever I go, may I remember that you go with me, preparing what I need before I even arrive. When the path feels long, let gratitude be the meal that strengthens me. When scarcity threatens to shrink my heart, let generosity stretch it open again. I do not walk through a desert of emptiness. I walk through a landscape alive with hidden wells. Every breath, every kindness, every moment of rest is proof that you are near and that I am cared for. So I step forward from this morning prayer with my heart full and my hands open. I trust that you will meet me in the places I least expect with provision I cannot yet see, whether it comes as abundance or as quiet sufficiency. I know it will come, because you never fail to feed what you love, and I am learning, day by day, to believe that I am one of those things you love still. Father, as I linger in the awareness of your daily provision, my soul begins to uncover something deeper, a hunger, not only for sustenance, but for restoration. I have learned that being fed is not the same as being whole. The table you set before me fills my body and steadies my mind. Yet there are quiet places within me that still ache, wounds that linger beneath the surface of ordinary days. You do not rush me past them. You invite me to bring them into the light. Healing, I realize, is also a kind of provision, one that cannot be earned or scheduled. It comes softly, like oil poured on tired skin, like warmth returning to hands that had gone numb. Lord, I bring to you the parts of my heart that have been cracked by disappointment and worn thin by striving. Some of these wounds are old, so familiar I hardly notice them anymore. Others are fresh, their sting still sharp in the morning air. I do not want to hide them behind strength or fill their silence with noise. I want to bring them here, to the place where your presence becomes medicine. You are not distant from pain. You dwell in it with compassion so vast that even sorrow finds rest. Teach me not to fear the breaking. Sometimes a heart must be opened before it can be mended. There are moments, God, when I wish healing worked like magic, instant, clean, complete. But you heal like a gardener, slowly, patiently, trimming away what no longer gives life, turning the soil, planting new growth where loss once lived. It is not an easy process, yet it is holy. You do not waste even the tears that fall. You water something unseen with them. And though I may not notice the change day by day, one morning I look back and realize that peace has taken root where bitterness used to grow. That is your grace, quiet, deliberate, unstoppable. Father, help me to forgive the things that still hold my heart hostage. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is choosing freedom over resentment. It is releasing the right to replay what cannot be changed. When memories return, let compassion rise faster than anger. Remind me that you are both judge and redeemer, that I do not have to carry justice on my shoulders. The weight of bitterness is too heavy for human hands, but in yours it becomes transformation. Heal me from the desire to see others suffer the pain they caused. Teach me to bless without bitterness, to release without regret. There are also wounds that come not from others, but from myself, from words I spoke too harshly, from mistakes that echo long after the moment has passed. Guilt can be a cruel companion, whispering that failure defines me. But you are louder. You remind me that mercy rewrites every story. You call me beloved even in the places where I still feel ashamed. You take the broken fragments I try to hide and arrange them into something beautiful. So I will not run from my own reflection anymore. I will look and see what you see, someone being made new. One breath, one choice, one act of grace at a time. Lord, pour your healing oil over the memories that still sting. Let it reach the deep corners that conversation and time have not yet touched. Where rejection once built walls, let love carve windows. Where loss hollowed out meaning, let joy take its place. Where fear closed my heart, let courage reopen it. I do not ask to forget, but to remember differently, with gratitude instead of grief, with wisdom instead of resentment. Let every scar tell a story of redemption, not ruin. Sometimes, Father, I sense that you heal not by removing pain, but by revealing purpose through it. The wounds I carry become doors through which compassion enters. The broken places allow light to pass through me to others who are hurting. If healing means becoming gentler, kinder, more understanding of weakness, then let it happen, even if slowly. Let my story be proof that broken things still sing. When loneliness presses against me, remind me that healing is not isolation. It is intimacy with you. You are the friend who sits beside the H, saying nothing until words are safe again. You are the quiet presence that steadies my breathing when the past tries to speak too loudly. Your nearness is the balm that time cannot supply, even in silence. You are working. Even when I feel nothing, you are restoring. God, let your spirit fill the hollow spaces that pain once occupied. Let laughter return without guilt. Let trust rebuild without fear. Let hope rise without hesitation. Replace heaviness with gentleness, anxiety with assurance, and sorrow with a joy that does not need to prove itself. The oil of gladness you offer is not shallow cheer, it is the deep contentment of a soul made whole again. As I breathe in this moment, I sense how healing does not always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like softness returning where hardness once ruled. Sometimes it is simply the ability to smile again without pretending. Sometimes it is peace in the middle of the same circumstances that once felt unbearable. You remind me that wholeness is not perfection. It is union with you. Father, let today be another step in that quiet restoration. Let me carry peace into the places that once hurt, offering comfort instead of complaint, gentleness instead of guardedness. May every healed part of me become a place where others can find rest. And when pain visits again, as it surely will help me to remember that healing is not something I must chase. It is something that flows endlessly from your heart to mine. Lord, as I sit in the quiet after remembering the healing you have begun within me, I realize that true restoration cannot be complete without forgiveness. Healing soothes the wound, but forgiveness removes the thorn. It is the bridge between pain and peace, the release that lets mercy breathe. You have poured oil on my heart, softening what was hardened, and now you ask me to open my hands once more, not to receive this time, but to let go. Forgiveness, I see now, is not about the other person's worthiness. It is about my willingness to be free. Father, I confess that forgiveness has never come easily to me. I can say the words quickly, but my heart often lags behind. The memories return when I least expect them, and old anger rises like smoke from a fire I thought was long extinguished. Yet I feel your quiet prompting, urging me not to hide from the struggle, but to face it with honesty. You remind me that forgiveness is not an emotion. It is a decision, a sacred act of faith that trusts you to handle what I cannot. You are the only one who can balance the scales of justice and mercy, and you invite me to stop trying to hold both in my fragile hands. God, there are faces and moments I bring before you now. Some hurt me with words that cut deep, others with silence that spoke even louder. There were betrayals that shattered trust, disappointments that left marks invisible to others, but vivid to me. I have carried these things like heavy stones, one offense at a time, until my soul grew tired from the weight. But you did not design me to walk bent under burdens I was never meant to bear. So I bring them here, one by one, setting them down before you. Each name, each memory, each wound. I whisper them out loud, not to relive the pain, but to release it. Father, Help me forgive even those who never said sorry. Help me forgive those who might never understand the hurt they caused, and help me forgive myself for the moments when I failed to love well, when my words became weapons, when fear made me unkind. Your grace does not stop at my failures. It flows right through them, turning regret into redemption. Remind me that forgiveness is not forgetting. It is choosing not to be bound by what has already passed. The past may have shaped me, but it will not own me. Lord, when bitterness tries to return, teach me to meet it with prayer instead of pride. When the memory resurfaces, let gratitude interrupt it. Let me thank you for how far I have come, for how much softer my heart has become in your care. And if forgiveness needs to be chosen again tomorrow, remind me that repetition does not mean failure, it means persistence. Every act of letting go loosens another chain. Every quiet for my offenders draws me closer to the freedom you intended. God, I think about the way you forgive completely, without condition, without record. You remember my sins no more, not because you forget, but because you choose love over retribution. You see the potential beyond my mistakes. You look at me not through the lens of what I have done, but through the light of what you are making me into. Teach me to see others that way too. When I look at those who wronged me, let me see their humanity instead of their harm. Let compassion rise like a tide that refuses to retreat. Let mercy speak louder than my memories. There is a quiet miracle that happens when forgiveness takes root. Resentment begins to fade, and in its place grows a peace that cannot be explained. The heart that once guarded itself so fiercely begins to breathe again. I can feel that happening even now. The sharp edges of my pain are softening. The echo of old anger is losing its voice. This is what grace feels like. It does not erase the story. It rewrites its ending. It turns what once was broken into a doorway for love to enter. Father, help me live this forgiveness outwardly. Let it color the way I speak, the way I react, the way I listen. When I meet someone carrying bitterness of their own, let my calmness become invitation, not judgment. Let the gentleness I have found here spill over into every conversation. Teach me that forgiving does not make me weak. It makes me whole. It does not erase boundaries. It redeems them. Forgiveness is not losing power, it is reclaiming it from the grip of pain. Lord, I know that sometimes the hardest person to forgive is myself, the echo of past choices, the guilt of things undone, the shame of things said in anger. They haunt quietly, even after I have moved on. But you remind me that grace does not only flow forward to others, it flows inward too. If you do not condemn me, why should I keep condemning myself? Let your mercy teach me how to rest. Let me wake up each day not with the weight of yesterday's failures, but with the lightness of new mercy. Father, I can feel the release happening, slow, gentle, but certain. The hands that once clenched around old hurts are opening again. The air feels different, lighter, freer. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it transforms my relationship to it. It turns pain into wisdom, anger into empathy, memory into meaning. What was once a wound is now a wellspring of understanding. I can love better because I have been forgiven much. So I choose, again and again, to let go. I choose to release every debt, visible and invisible, spoken and silent. I choose freedom over revenge, grace over resentment, peace over pride, and in doing so, I discover what you have been trying to teach me all along, that forgiveness is not just something I give, it is something I become. Father, as forgiveness settles into my spirit like a deep exhale, I feel the calm that follows release. The weight I once carried is gone, but in its place comes another kind of waiting, gentle, uncertain, and holy. Forgiveness opens the door, but patience teaches me how to stay in the room. There is a stillness that follows letting go, a space where outcomes are no longer mine to control, yet the longing to see resolution remains. In this quiet middle ground between prayer and fulfillment, you invite me to wait not passively, but faithfully. Waiting, I am learning, is not punishment, it is preparation. Lord, I confess that waiting has always been hard for me. My heart wants to see results, to touch evidence that you are moving, to measure progress in visible signs. But you work in silence as much as in sound, in delay as much as in deliverance. You are shaping something inside me while I wait, teaching me that trust grows strongest in the spaces where nothing seems to be happening. The unseen work is often the most sacred, so instead of asking when, help me to ask, what are you forming in me right now? Let the waiting refine me instead of exhausting me. God, you know how impatience stirs within me. It whispers lies that nothing is changing, that prayers fall unheard, that time is being wasted. But you remind me that no moment is wasted when it is surrendered to you. Even the long pauses hold purpose. The waiting room is not empty. It is full of your quiet activity. Seeds do their deepest work underground where eyes cannot see. Faith, too, grows in that hidden soil. Help me to trust that the silence of delay is not absence, but incubation, that while I wait, you are building strength I will soon need. Father, I think of all the people who waited before me: Abraham for the promise, Joseph for freedom, David for the throne, Mary for the dawn of redemption. None of them waited in vain. Their waiting was woven into the story you were writing. You have never rushed a single sunrise, and yet it always arrives. Teach me to live with that same confidence, to know that what you have spoken will come to pass in its time, and not a moment too soon or too late. Patience is faith stretched across time, and I want to live within that stretch without breaking. Sometimes, Lord, waiting feels like a desert, silent, dry, and endless. Hope can feel brittle there, but even deserts bloom when the season turns. You are the keeper of time. You know how to bring rain to barren ground. Help me not to measure the worth of this season by its pace, but by its purpose. If waiting is where I learn to trust your heart more than your hand, then let me stay here as long as you will it. I would rather wait with you than arrive without you. God, show me how to wait well. Let me fill this space not with worry, but with worship. Let gratitude become my way of keeping faith alive. When my mind races with impatience, let me pause to remember how many prayers have already been answered, how often what once seemed delayed turned out to be perfectly timed. Let memory become medicine for restlessness. If I am tempted to rush ahead, remind me of the peace I found in surrender. If I am tempted to give up, remind me of the stories that were only beautiful because they took time. Father, I realize that waiting changes how I see the world. It slows me down enough to notice small miracles, the way sunlight filters through leaves, the sound of laughter, the mercy of another ordinary morning. These things are easy to miss when I rush, but in waiting, my eyes sharpen to the truth that every breath is grace. Waiting does not waste life, it deepens it. It turns moments into teachers, teaching me to live not by outcomes, but by awareness. Each sunrise becomes a reminder that hope renews itself daily, that waiting is not empty when it is filled with presence. Sometimes I mistake silence for stillness, but you are never still in your love, even when I cannot see movement. You are orchestrating alignment. What feels like delay is often your protection, keeping me from stepping into something not yet ready, or shielding me from something that would harm me. Waiting is your kindness disguised as time. It is the way you prepare both the path and the traveler. So I will not despise this slow unfolding. I will let it do its work. Lord, help me to keep my heart soft while I wait. Waiting can make people bitter if they focus only on what has not come. But I do not want to grow hard. I want to grow wise. Let hope remain tender in me, flexible and living. Let patience not be dull resignation, but active faith. When I am weary, teach me to rest without quitting. When others receive what I am still praying for, let me rejoice without envy. Remind me that you write every story differently, and mine is still unfolding in sacred rhythm. Father, if today is part of the waiting, let me honor it fully. Let my hands work with diligence even when results are invisible. Let my prayers rise without demand. Let my heart stay open enough to be surprised by grace. Waiting, after all, is not about delay. It is about depth. It is how you draw my roots deeper so that when the harvest comes, it will last. I may not understand the timing, but I trust the author. Time belongs to you, and so do I. The morning light outside has grown brighter now, stretching long across the earth. I take it as a gentle sign that even waiting has its dawn. What begins in darkness always ends in light when you are the one leading. So I will breathe deeply, walk slowly, and hold my hope quietly because I know that somewhere, unseen but certain, the answer is already on its way. Lord, as the light of morning stretches further and the rhythm of life begins again outside my window, I remain in the quiet that waiting has taught me. I can sense how much softer my soul has become, less demanding, more listening. Waiting has not only slowed me, it has deepened me. It has opened my eyes to a truth I once resisted. Trust is built not on explanations, but on encounter. I do not have to see what you are doing to believe that you are doing something good. The silence is no longer a void. It has become a voice, a quiet assurance that your unseen hand is weaving everything together for my good. Father, trusting the unseen is not natural to me. I have long trained my heart to find safety in certainty, to grasp tightly to what I can measure and prove. But the life of faith you call me to lives beyond those boundaries. It is a life that sees with the soul, not with the eyes. You ask me to believe that light exists even before the dawn arrives, that roots grow even when the surface looks barren, that purpose moves even in the pauses. To trust you means surrendering the need to understand before obeying, to step forward not because I know the way, but because I know the one who leads, God. There are days when faith feels like walking through fog, each step unsure, each moment asking for courage. But in those moments, your presence becomes clearer than any visible path. The fog itself becomes holy, for it forces me to stay close, to reach for you with both hands. You are not a distant guide shouting directions from afar. You are a companion walking beside me, whispering peace into every hesitation. When I cannot see the next turn, you teach me to trust that your light will be enough for the next step, and that tomorrow's grace will meet me when I arrive there. Father, help me to trust even when life does not align with my understanding of fairness. Sometimes I mistake silence for neglect and mystery for absence, but you are present in both. Your ways are higher than mine, not only in wisdom, but in love. You see the full picture while I hold only fragments. And you are never hurried by the clock that rules me. Teach me to rest in the truth that you do not withhold out of cruelty, but out of care. Every delay carries a hidden mercy. Every unanswered question holds a deeper invitation to know you, not just your plan. Trusting you means believing that even the detours are deliberate. The moments I thought were wasted were actually refining me, strengthening unseen muscles of endurance and faith. I remember the seasons I thought would break me, yet they became the very seasons that built me. Pain taught me compassion. Disappointment taught me humility. Silence taught me to listen. And now I see that the unseen work is the foundation of every visible blessing. What grows in the dark is often the most enduring. Lord, I have come to realize that trust does not always feel peaceful. Sometimes it feels like surrender in motion. It is choosing to breathe when fear tightens the chest. It is choosing gratitude when the answer has not yet come. It is choosing stillness when everything in me wants to run. Teach me to rest in you without demanding clarity. Let trust be my posture, not just my prayer. When I am tempted to analyze every outcome, remind me that peace is not found in control, but in connection. You do not ask for perfection, only my presence. You only ask that I stay close enough to hear your heartbeat through the noise of uncertainty. God, I see now how trust transforms perspective. The things that once terrified me now teach me. The valleys I dreaded reveal unexpected beauty. The unanswered prayers open space for miracles that would have been too small if answered too soon. You are not random in your timing. You are intentional in every delay, gentle in every correction, faithful in every promise. Help me to lean into that truth even when feelings disagree. Let me measure life not by what I see happening, but by the quiet confidence that you are near and never idle. Father, trust does not remove fear, it redeems it. It takes what was once paralyzing and turns it into reverence. It transforms anxiety into awareness that you hold all things, even in my smallest worries. Your sovereignty is present. Nothing slips through your hands. When I stand before impossibility, remind me that miracles are not distant stories. They are daily mercies disguised as ordinary grace. Each breath is a reminder that unseen power sustains me. Every sunrise is a sermon about faithfulness that never sleeps. Lord, teach me to carry this trust into every corner of my day. Let it shape my tone when I speak, my patience when I listen, my calm when I wait. Let it soften my reactions and strengthen my endurance. Let it remind me that I am never without guidance, even when I feel alone. Trust is not built by knowing where I am going, but by remembering who walks with me. So I will not rush what you are unfolding, nor despise what I cannot yet comprehend. Father, as I lift my eyes toward the horizon, I feel the gentle invitation of the morning, once more the whisper that says, "Be still." The same hands that shaped galaxies are holding this moment steady. The same voice that commands the seas is speaking softly into my uncertainty. I do not need to see the outcome to know that I am safe. I do not need to have every answer to know that I am loved. Trust is the quiet flight of faith rising on wings of stillness, carried not by sight, but by surrender. And in that surrender, I find everything I was looking for: peace, presence, and the unwavering assurance that I am exactly where I need to be. Father, as trust settles deeper into my heart, I feel a quiet glow rising inside me, something gentle yet strong, like the first spark before dawn turns to morning. It is not the confidence of knowing what comes next, but the peace of knowing you are already there. This peace feels different. It is no longer something I reach for, but something growing within me. It does not depend on perfect circumstances or calm surroundings. It is the steady flame that remains even when the wind of life blows hard. You have been teaching me that faith is not just for survival, it is for shining. You do not call me only to rest in your light, but to carry it into the world that still trembles in darkness. Lord, the world outside feels restless. Everywhere I look, hearts are hurried and voices loud. Fear disguises itself as certainty, and anger often wears the mask of passion. It is easy to get swept into the noise, to react instead of reflect, to speak before listening, to fight for my truth instead of embodying yours. But you are whispering a different way, the way of quiet strength. You invite me to be a vessel of peace, not a mirror of chaos. To walk through the noise not as one who adds to it, but as one who calms it. The peace you place within me is not fragile. It is powerful. It does not retreat from conflict. It transforms it. God, help me to live from this place of inner stillness. Let my words carry weight not because they are loud, but because they come from love. Let my presence soften tension instead of feeding it. When others rush to defend, teach me to pause. When anger seeks an audience, let my silence become sanctuary. Remind me that peace is not passive, it is active restraint. Discipline, compassion, sacred control. You have not called me to win arguments, but to win hearts. You have not asked me to fix the world's noise, but to bring your calm into it, one moment at a time. Father, I often forget that peace begins in the unseen, the thoughts I entertain, the way I speak to myself when no one else is listening. Help me guard that inner conversation. When fear starts to whisper that I am not enough, let me answer with truth that I am yours. When anxiety builds stories that do not exist, Let me breathe and return to the present moment where you are. When comparison tries to steal my joy, remind me that your love is never measured in fractions. The battle for peace begins within, and victory comes not from force, but from focus, fixing my eyes on you until every storm inside me grows still. Lord, I want to reflect your light without distortion. The world does not need perfection from me. It needs presence. It needs someone willing to listen, to forgive, to see others not for their mistakes, but for their humanity. Let me be that kind of light. Let my kindness be steady, not selective. Let my patience outlast irritation. Let me choose understanding where judgment would be easier. When I am tempted to respond from pride, remind me that humility always holds more power. When I am drawn to prove a point, remind me that love proves more than an argument ever could. God, peace is contagious, but so is unrest. Help me to be intentional about what I spread. And let every interaction I have today, every conversation, every decision, every glance carry the fragrance of your peace. Let others feel safe in my presence, not because I am perfect, because your spirit is gentle within me. Teach me that being peaceful does not mean being silent in the face of wrong, but speaking truth from a heart anchored in love. Peace is not withdrawal. It is engagement with grace. Let me bring calm where there is confusion and clarity where there is fear. Father, you remind me that to be a vessel of peace is not only about what I give to others, but also how I receive the world when unexpected events disrupt my plans. Help me to respond instead of react. When others misunderstand my intentions, teach me to choose grace over defense. When outcomes differ from my desires, let gratitude guide me before complaint finds its way to my lips. Each moment of interruption is a test of peace, and each time I pass it, your reflection grows clearer within me. There are times, Lord, when maintaining peace feels impossible, when life presses hard and everything inside me wants to fight or flee. But it is in those moments that I remember what you said. Peace I leave with you, not as the world gives. The world's peace depends on control. Yours depends on connection. The world's calm comes from absence of conflict. Yours comes from presence of faith. Let me live from the second kind, the kind that cannot be taken by circumstance, because it was never given by circumstance. Father, make my peace resilient. Let it stand tall when storms arrive, steady when criticism comes, alive when everything else feels empty. Let it shine quietly in places of sorrow and speak gently in spaces of division. Use my life like a lantern in dark corridors, ordinary in shape, but radiant with your flame, not drawing attention to itself, but to the light it carries. I want to be that vessel, cracked perhaps, yet glowing, transparent enough for others to glimpse you through me. As I prepare to step into the world beyond this prayer, I carry this calm like armor and offering. I do not know what the day will bring, but I know who goes with me. I will walk softly, speak slowly, listen deeply, and let your presence move through me like quiet water finding its way through stone. For peace that lives within does not stay hidden, it overflows, and wherever it flows, life begins again. Father, As your peace continues to dwell within me, I begin to feel it stirring into movement, like water that cannot remain still once touched by wind. Peace was never meant to be hoarded. It was meant to flow. What you have placed in my heart is not a private treasure, but a living current that finds its purpose in giving. I can sense you whispering this morning that love, when it stays still, withers, but when it is shared, multiplies. The light you have lit within me was never for display. It was meant to guide others home. And so, Lord, teach me today to serve not out of duty, but out of devotion. God, sometimes I forget that service is not always grand or public. It often begins quietly in the unseen acts that no one applauds. A gentle word, a listening ear, a kindness given without expectation. The world celebrates achievement, but you bless humility. You measure greatness not by how high we climb, but by how deeply we stoop to lift another. Let me live that truth today. When I am tempted to chase recognition, remind me that unseen service is the purest offering. Because it mirrors your heart, you wash feet, not thrones. You touch lepers, not crowns. Let me serve with the same tenderness that moves in you. Father, give me eyes to notice the needs around me, the ones who smile but hide exhaustion, the ones who speak strength but ache in silence, the ones who need presence more than answers. Let me not rush past the sacred interruptions you place in my path. The stranger who crosses my morning, the friend who suddenly lingers, the coworker whose tone carries wariness, all of them are altars where I can bring love as an offering. Remind me that compassion does not always require words. Sometimes it is a glance that sees, a hand that steadies, a moment that listens without judgment. Lord, it is easy to serve when it is convenient, when it fits neatly into my schedule or aligns with my comfort. But true compassion often calls me beyond that line, to give when I am tired, to love when I feel unseen, to forgive when it costs me pride. It is there, in the stretching, that my heart learns what love really means. You do not ask me to give what I do not have. You ask me to give what I have in faith that you will refill it. The well never runs dry when its water flows from you. So when fatigue whispers that I have nothing left to offer, remind me that love replenishes itself in the act of giving. God, sometimes I fear that what I give is too small to matter. The world's wounds are so wide, and my hands so limited. But you never asked me to fix everything, only to be faithful with what is before me. A single act of compassion can ripple farther than I know. A word spoken in kindness can outlive the moment. A seed of love can grow in soil I may never see. Let me never underestimate the sacredness of small gestures. They are the building blocks of redemption, the quiet revolutions that heal the world from the inside out. Father, protect my heart from the pride that disguises itself as service. Let me not serve for approval, nor to ease guilt, nor to feel superior. Let my motive be love alone. When my efforts go unnoticed, let gratitude be my reward. When my kindness is misunderstood, let peace guard me from resentment. You see what others cannot, and that is enough. Help me remember that service is not about changing others, but about being changed myself. It reshapes the heart, humbles the ego, and opens the spirit to your likeness. Lord, let compassion not end with sympathy, but move toward action. If my prayers stay only in words, teach my hands to continue the sentence. If I speak of love, let my life prove it. Give me courage to step into the discomfort of another's pain, to show up when it would be easier to stay away, to risk rejection in order to bring comfort. Let love cost me something, for only then does it reflect yours. You did not love from a distance. You entered the H of humanity. You carried the cross, not just the message. Help me walk in that same humility close enough to feel the heartbeat of those who suffer. God, remind me that compassion is not limited by circumstance. Even when I am the one in need, I can still serve. A weary heart can still comfort another. A broken vessel can still pour. Sometimes it is in my weakness that others find strength. In my honesty that others find hope. I do not need to be whole to love. I only need to be willing. Love does not wait for perfection. It moves through imperfection with grace. Use my cracks as channels for mercy, so that others may drink from what once was empty. Father, let every act of service today become a prayer in motion. Let every kindness I extend become a note in the song of redemption you are writing through humanity. Teach me to see you in the faces I meet, especially in the difficult ones. The impatient customer, the bitter neighbor, the friend who disappoints. All are opportunities to practice the kind of love that transforms both giver and receiver. Compassion is not a feeling. It is a choice repeated until it becomes nature. Make it my nature, Lord. As I rise from this time of prayer, let my hands remember what my heart has learned. That love is not a task but a rhythm. Not a command but a calling. The peace you placed within me finds its fulfillment when it flows outward. So I will walk into this day ready to serve with quiet strength, with open hands, and with eyes that see each person as sacred. For when I serve them, I serve you. And when I pour out love, I find that you are already there filling, guiding, and turning simple acts into eternal grace. Father, as I rise from the stillness of serving, I feel the quiet hum of your presence lingering around me. Compassion has opened my eyes in a new way. It has changed how I see not only others, but also my own life. In every act of giving, I discovered traces of your generosity. The more I poured out, the more I saw how much I had been given. Gratitude begins to unfold within me like a garden after the rain, vibrant, alive, and fragrant with awareness. You remind me that thankfulness is not just a feeling. It is a way of seeing, a way of living, a way of breathing in grace. Lord, sometimes I forget how abundant my life already is. My eyes drift toward what I lack instead of what I hold. My heart grows restless, chasing after more, measuring myself against others. But this morning, as the sun stretches across the sky, you call me back to simplicity. You whisper that joy is not found in accumulation, but in appreciation. Every breath I take, every color I see, every sound that greets me is a quiet miracle. The ordinary is holy when viewed with grateful eyes. Let me never become so familiar with blessings that I stop noticing them. God, teach me to cultivate gratitude intentionally. Like tending a garden, let me pull out the weeds of complaint before they take root. Let me water the soil of contentment daily, even when the ground feels dry. Gratitude is not effortless. It must be practiced. It requires choosing focus over distraction, trust over doubt, awe over indifference. When my thoughts begin to spiral toward worry, let thankfulness interrupt them. Let me replace fear with remembrance, replacing what if with even if. Gratitude does not deny hardship, it transforms it. It turns pain into perspective and scarcity into sufficiency. Father, I want to see blessings where others see burdens. Let me find beauty in the tasks I once called tedious. Let me honor the work of my hands, the rhythm of my body, the gift of another day to try again. Gratitude transforms even routine into worship. Folding clothes, preparing meals, writing words all become prayers when done with awareness of you. Nothing is too small to carry divine significance. You are present not only in the extraordinary, but in the daily details that quietly hold the world together. Lord, I also thank you for what was hard, for the seasons that broke me but built wisdom in their wake, for the prayers that went unanswered because you were protecting me from what I did not yet understand, for the relationships that ended but taught me how to love better. Gratitude is not just for what I gain, but for what I grow through. Help me remember that even loss can be sacred when it deepens compassion. Let me look back on my life not as a series of struggles, but as a field where grace kept reappearing. Even after every storm, God, let gratitude not stop with words. Let it shape the way I live. A thankful heart overflows naturally, it gives generously. Speaks kindly. Forgives easily. Gratitude is the soil where humility grows. When I remember that everything I have is a gift, pride loses its grip. When I recognize how much I have been given, it becomes impossible to withhold from others. So let my gratitude spill over into action. Let my appreciation turn into attention to the lonely, to the overlooked, to the moments that pass quietly waiting to be seen. Father, I want to wake each day as if it were the first and perhaps the last, with wide eyes and an open heart. Let me never take for granted the breath that fills my lungs, the warmth of sunlight on my skin, the laughter that lightens the air. These are not small things. They are anchors that keep me grounded in wonder. Gratitude turns moments into milestones, meals into communion, mornings into worship. It transforms existence into encounter. The more I give thanks, the more I notice how every part of life, even the fragile ones, glows with your touch. Lord, sometimes gratitude is hard to find. When the day feels heavy, when prayers seem unanswered, when the road ahead looks uncertain, it is easy to forget that you are still here, working quietly behind the veil. In those moments, teach me to give thanks not because everything is clear, but because you are constant. Gratitude in the dark is the purest form of praise. It says, I trust you even here. His faith clothed in thankfulness, steadying me when sight cannot. Let my gratitude not depend on circumstance, but on conviction that you are good even when life is not simple. God, I see now that gratitude and peace are twins. The more I thank you, the less room fear has to grow. Worry cannot coexist with wonder. Complaints cannot thrive in the presence of praise. Gratitude redirects my focus from what is missing to what is miraculous. It keeps my heart open when the world tries to make it cynical. It keeps my soul soft when hardship tempts it to harden. Gratitude is not blind optimism, it is resilient faith. Grounded in remembrance, it sees truth and still chooses joy. Father, as I close my eyes for a moment, I feel the morning as light wrapping around me like a quiet blessing. Everything seems the same, the sounds, the air, the world, but I am different. Gratitude has shifted my sight. The garden within me blooms quietly. Fed by grace I did not earn, but freely receive. I realize that the greatest miracle of all is awareness itself, the ability to see life, not as something owed, but as something given. And when I live from that place, every step becomes sacred ground. So I will walk into this day gently, thankful for its breath, its people, its chance to begin again, and for the endless mercy that makes it all possible. Father, as gratitude settles into the soil of my heart, I feel something else beginning to grow from it, joy. Not the fleeting kind that depends on comfort or success, but the quiet, enduring joy that comes from knowing you. It is the kind of joy that does not need to shout to be real. The kind that hums softly beneath everything else, unshaken by the shifting winds of life. Gratitude has opened the door, and joy has entered like light filling an empty room. It does not erase pain, but it transforms it. It turns ordinary moments into holy encounters and ordinary breath into a song of praise. Lord, joy has always felt mysterious to me. The world teaches that it comes from gain, from everything going right, from having enough or being enough. But you teach differently. Your joy is born in surrender, not success, in peace, not perfection. It is not dependent on the absence of sorrow, but on the presence of grace. It blooms even in the shadows, because it draws its strength from you. Help me to understand this better, to see that true joy is not fragile but fierce, not temporary but eternal. It is not an emotion to be chased, but a posture to be chosen. God, there are days when joy feels far away, when the noise of worry drowns out the melody of faith. Yet you remind me that joy is not gone, it is simply quiet, waiting for me to notice it again. It hides in the small things, in laughter shared between friends, in the calm after rain, in the whisper of your reassurance when my thoughts run wild. Even in grief, joy is there, not denying the pain but holding it gently. You never promised a life without tears, but you promised that joy would come in the morning. And sometimes morning is not a time of day, but a condition of the heart, the moment I choose to open my eyes again. Father, teach me to rejoice not only when life is bright, but when it is dim. Let me learn the art of finding you in the middle, not just at the end, when plans fall apart. Let me remember that joy can still grow in the ruins, when dreams delay. Remind me that joy does not depend on fulfillment, but on faithfulness. When I am weary, show me that joy can be rest, not performance. The truest joy does not escape reality, it redeems it. It looks at the chaos and still whispers, God is good. Lord, help me to guard this joy like a sacred flame. There are so many things that try to steal it: comparison, fear, bitterness, fatigue. Each one creeps in quietly, convincing me that I have lost something. But the truth is, nothing can take what is rooted in you. Joy that comes from the world can fade, but joy that comes from your spirit endures. It is the anchor that steadies me when emotions shift and circumstances shake. When I feel the pull of despair, let joy remind me of everything unchanging: your love, your promises, your presence. God, I want to be someone who radiates joy naturally, not forced or rehearsed, but born of peace that has learned to dance. Let my laughter be genuine, not careless. My smile be soft but strong, carrying the memory of what I have overcome. Let me bring lightness to heavy spaces, not by ignoring pain, but by bringing hope into it. The world does not need loud happiness. It needs quiet joy that stays. Teach me to live with that kind of joy, the kind that comforts rather than competes, that lifts others instead of seeking attention. Let my joy be a mirror of your grace, reflecting heaven into ordinary hours. Father, I thank you for the gift of laughter. It is one of the purest signs of your presence, a reminder that even in brokenness, life can still be beautiful. When I laugh, my soul breathes differently. It loosens its grip on worry, even if only for a moment. That laughter is not denial. It is declaration. It says that light will always return, that love will always win, that pain will never have the final word. Let me never outgrow that kind of joy. Let me protect it from cynicism, feed it with gratitude, and share it freely. Lord, there are days when joy must be chosen again and again. On those mornings when my heart feels heavy, let praise become the doorway through which joy re-enters. Even a whisper of thanks can shift the atmosphere. When I focus on what you have done, the weight of what I lack begins to lift. Joy does not come from pretending that everything is perfect. It comes from remembering that you are present even when it is not. You are the steady rhythm beneath every uncertain beat. God, I realize now that joy is not an escape from reality, but a deeper embrace of it. It is learning to live aware of beauty, even when surrounded by struggle, to notice the sacred even when the surface looks ordinary. It is knowing that every sunrise, every kind word, every act of grace is a glimpse of eternity breaking through time. When I see through that lens, even the simplest moment becomes worth celebrating. Joy transforms the act of living into worship. Father, let my heart remain anchored in this joy no matter what this day brings. If I face good news, let joy remind me to give you glory. If I face challenges, let joy remind me that endurance itself is victory. If I face silence, let joy remind me that you are still speaking in ways I cannot yet hear. This kind of joy does not run out, it renews itself with every breath of faith. And as I step forward into this day, I will carry that joy not as a feeling, but as a flame, quiet, steady, resilient. It may flicker in the wind, but it will not go out. It will burn in every word I speak, every act of kindness I offer, every moment I remember that life itself is grace. For even in the storm, even in uncertainty, joy remains the proof that heaven has already touched the earth, and that you, my Father, are closer than the air I breathe. Father, as joy continues to rise like a quiet melody within me, I begin to sense its direction. It moves forward, outward, calling me toward purpose, Joy is not only meant to dwell in the heart. It longs to become movement, to shape how I walk through the world. Gratitude rooted me, peace steadied me, love expanded me, and now joy propels me. It is no longer enough to feel inspired. You are calling me to live inspired, to let every step, every word, and every decision become part of a greater story that reveals you. Purpose is not a distant destination, but a path that unfolds with each faithful step. Lord, I used to think purpose was something I had to chase, a hidden prize waiting at the end of striving. But now I see that it is less about finding and more about becoming. It is not somewhere out there, it is here, now, woven into the details of this very day. The conversations I will have, the small choices I will make, the work of my hands, the posture of my heart, all of it matters. You waste nothing, even my ordinary moments, when surrendered, become divine assignments. Purpose is not a single act, but a continual awareness that my life belongs to something greater than myself. God, show me how to walk this path of light with balance and humility. There are days when I rush ahead, anxious to see results, forgetting that obedience is often slow and unseen. Other times, I hesitate, afraid to step forward at all. Teach me that both haste and hesitation can be forms of fear, one trying to control, the other trying to avoid. Purpose asks for neither. It asks for presence. Help me to walk neither too fast nor too slow, but in rhythm with you. Each moment has its appointed pace, and I want to match the heartbeat of heaven, not the pressure of the world. Father, there are times I question whether my life makes any real difference. The world feels so vast, and my efforts so small. But you remind me that significance is not measured by size, but by surrender. A single candle cannot light the whole sky, but it can pierce the darkness around it. Let me be that light where I stand. Let my purpose be faithful, not famous, steadfast, not showy. Help me to remember that impact begins in intimacy. When I stay close to you, my life naturally reflects what it receives. The light I carry does not originate in me. It passes through me. Lord, guide me when purpose feels unclear. There are seasons when calling seems silent, when direction fades into mist. In those times, let me not confuse quiet with absence. Let me trust that hidden growth is still holy work. You are shaping me even in the waiting, preparing me for what I cannot yet see. Purpose does not vanish in uncertainty. It deepens. Even when the path bends unexpectedly, it is still leading somewhere sacred. My task is not to map the route, but to keep walking with trust. God, help me to see purpose not only in grand callings, but in simple faithfulness, to smile at a stranger, to offer patience when my mind feels rushed, to listen without distraction, to finish what I start with diligence and grace. Every act of goodness, no matter how small, becomes a thread in the great tapestry of redemption you are weaving through humanity. You never measure importance by visibility. You measure it by love. Let me live that truth so fully that I no longer separate the spiritual from the practical. Every moment becomes worship when it is done with intention and love. Father, remind me that walking in purpose requires alignment. not perfection. I will stumble sometimes, lose focus, get wary, but purpose does not disappear. When I falter, it waits for me to realign, to return, to breathe again. You do not demand flawless performance. You ask for willing hearts. Each time I choose to stand back up, you turn my failures into formation, my detours into lessons. Purpose is not a straight road, it is a relationship, a journey of trust shaped by grace. Lord, help me to resist comparing my path to another S. The world loves to measure success by visibility and speed, but you value faithfulness in hidden places. My purpose will not look like anyone else's, because you wrote it with hands that know my soul uniquely. Let me celebrate the differences instead of envying them. The body of Christ needs many kinds of light, some bright and public, others quiet and steady. Comparison dims gratitude and blurs vision, but contentment sharpens it. Help me to stay focused on the assignment you have given me, no matter how small it seems. God, when the weight of responsibility grows heavy, remind me that I am not walking alone. You go before me, beside me, and within me. You do not simply give purpose, you share it. You invite me into partnership, into the sacred work of bringing light into shadowed places. Let me remember that purpose is not pressure, but privilege. Not a burden, but a blessing. You never ask me to accomplish what you will not equip me for. Strength will meet me where obedience begins. Father, as I look toward the unfolding hours of this day, I choose to walk with open eyes and a steady heart. Every encounter, every challenge, every moment holds meaning when seen through the lens of purpose. Help me to listen more deeply, to act more gently, to move more intentionally. Let my life become a quiet testimony that purpose is not just found in what I do, but in who I am becoming through you. And as I step forward, I carry this truth with me. When I walk in the light, even my smallest footprints can illuminate the world. Father, as I continue walking this path of light, I begin to understand that purpose, while sacred, is not without resistance. Every calling draws opposition. Every step toward truth meets the wind of fear. Yet you never promised an easy road, you promised your presence on it. And so, as I wake into this new morning, I feel you calling me not only to walk in peace and gratitude, but to stand with courage. Courage is the fire that keeps faith alive when storms attempt to extinguish it. It is not born of strength, but of surrender. The deep knowing that even when I tremble, you remain unshaken. Lord, there are moments when fear feels like a shadow that walks beside me. It whispers doubts. It magnifies risks. It tells me I am not enough. Sometimes it wears the voice of reason, other times the sound of memory. But you remind me that fear is not my ruler, it is only a test. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is faith choosing to move anyway. Help me to face the unknown not with arrogance, but with quiet confidence that you are already ahead of me. My courage is not found in self-assurance, but in divine assurance. You have gone before, preparing ground I have yet to see. God, teach me to remember how often you have proven yourself faithful. When I look back, I can trace the pattern of your protection like footprints in the sand. The moments I thought I would break, you were building resilience. The times I felt lost, you were redirecting my path. The prayers I thought unanswered were answered in ways I only now understand. Let remembrance become fuel for courage. Every past deliverance is proof that I can face today without fear. If you were faithful then, you will be faithful now. Father, help me to see courage not as loud defiance, but as quiet endurance. It is the mother holding on to hope, the worker showing up despite exhaustion, the believer continuing to pray when silence stretches long. Courage wears many faces. It is gentle yet unyielding, humble yet unbreakable. It whispers still, I will trust, when the heart wants to quit. You never called me to be fearless, only to be faithful. Even shaking hands can build your kingdom if they refuse to let go of hope. Lord, there are times I confuse courage with control. I think being brave means having all the answers. But true courage often begins in surrender. It is trusting when I cannot predict, standing firm when the ground feels unsteady, and obeying when I do not yet see the outcome. Courage is born when faith outgrows explanation. It does not need certainty to act, it moves because of conviction. Teach me that real strength is not in pretending to have no fear, but in trusting you more than I trust my fear. God, make my heart resilient against discouragement. The world often celebrates success, but hides struggle. Yet courage is forged in struggle, in nights of prayer, in seasons of waiting, in moments of unseen obedience. Let me not despise the fire that shapes me, just as gold must pass through flame to reveal its shine. My faith must face pressure to reveal its purity. When I am tested, remind me that you are not far. You are the refiner's hand, holding me steady in the heat. My courage grows not because I am strong, but because I am held. Father, give me courage not just to face challenges, but to remain kind in the midst of them. It takes bravery to stay gentle when anger feels easier, to forgive when resentment seems justified, to keep loving when love is not returned. These are the hardest battles, fought not on battlefields but in hearts. Strength without compassion can destroy, but courage rooted in love restores. Help me to fight the right battles, the ones that preserve peace. Protect truth and honor you, Lord. Sometimes courage means standing still when everything inside me wants to run. Other times, it means taking the first step when everything around me tells me to wait. Give me discernment to know which one you are asking for. Let my courage be guided, not reckless, humble, not stubborn. Courage without wisdom becomes pride, but courage guided by your spirit becomes purpose in motion. Teach me to move at the pace of grace, to trust that the same God who parts seas can also calm storms, and that both require courage to believe. God, strengthen me to speak truth even when it costs me comfort. In a world that fears offense more than falsehood, let me stand for what is right with grace and conviction. Let my words be wrapped in love, but anchored in truth. Help me to be courageous enough to be misunderstood, yet humble enough to remain teachable. Let my actions reflect not rebellion, but righteousness, a steady light that does not flicker in the wind of opinion. True courage is not found in proving myself right, but in living a life that points others toward what is good and eternal. Father, As I prepare to face the unfolding hours ahead, I ask for courage that endures, not just for moments of crisis, but for the daily faithfulness of living well. Let me rise each morning ready to try again, to believe again, to love again. No matter what yesterday held, the brave are not those who never fall, but those who keep standing through grace. Let that grace be my armor and my anthem. And as the light of this morning stretches across the horizon, I will carry this fire of courage with me, not a flame that burns recklessly, but one that glows steadily, strong enough to warm others, steady enough to light the way, pure enough to honor you. For courage is not born from who I am, but from who you are within me. You are my strength, my refuge, my reason to rise again. And as long as your breath fills my lungs, fear will never have the final word. Father, as courage begins to steady my heart, I feel you drawing me into a deeper truth that courage alone is not enough without trust. Faith that moves mountains also learns to wait for the rain. The bravest act is not always to rise and fight. Sometimes it is to rest in your timing, to stand still while you unfold what I cannot yet see. Trust is the quiet river that runs beneath the noise of uncertainty. It flows through valleys of confusion, carrying peace where answers have not yet come. You are teaching me that surrender is not defeat, it is devotion. Lord, it is not easy to trust what I cannot control. My hands often tremble, wanting to shape the outcome, to protect myself from disappointment. Yet every time I try to steer the current, I drift farther from peace. You whisper again and again, "Be still." Stillness does not mean inactivity, it means anchored belief. Trust is not laziness. It is confidence that you are at work in ways I cannot measure. Teach me to rest without resigning, to wait without doubting, to believe that delay is not denial, but divine direction. God, I remember the times you asked me to let go of what I thought I needed, the opportunities that closed, the relationships that ended, the prayers that seemed unanswered, all of them, in hindsight, became stepping stones. You were redirecting, not rejecting. Every detour I resented became a doorway to something better. Trust is remembering those moments when faith and hindsight meet, when I can finally see that what felt like loss was preparation. Help me to live in that awareness even when I cannot yet see the purpose. Let me trust your process more than my plan. Father, I confess that I often rush your timing. My impatience tries to outrun grace. My fear imagines futures you never wrote. I want results now, clarity now, resolution now. But you are a God of rhythm, not reaction. You work through seasons, each one necessary, each one sacred. The seed must wait in darkness before it breaks open in light. The caterpillar must rest in stillness before wings can unfold. Teach me to honor the waiting as much as the arriving. Waiting is not wasted when it grows wisdom. Trust teaches me that miracles mature slowly, and that faith deepens in the quiet middle where nothing seems to happen. Lord, there are moments when silence feels heavy, when I ask and hear nothing back. In those times, doubt tries to speak louder than truth. But silence does not mean absence, it means you are working beneath the surface. The roots of faith grow deep in hidden soil. Trust is believing that even when I cannot hear you, you still hear me. Help me to stop demanding signs and start practicing surrender. I do not need to understand every step to keep walking. I only need to know that you are with me, and that has always been enough. God, show me that surrender is not weakness. It is worship. To surrender is to say, I trust you more than my timeline. It is choosing to believe that your ways are higher, even they seem harder. It is releasing control so that grace can flow freely. The river cannot fill what is already clenched in fear. Let my hands stay open, ready to receive, ready to release. Whatever I hold too tightly becomes an idol. Whatever I place back into your hands becomes a blessing. Help me to live with that freedom, to let go without losing hope, to yield without giving up, to rest without retreating. Father, teach me to see beauty in uncertainty. The unknown is not my enemy. It is the canvas of your creativity. When I cannot predict the future, I am forced to rely on you, and that is where true relationship grows. Each step taken in faith becomes a declaration that trust is stronger than fear. Even when I cannot trace your hand, I can trust your heart. Let me move through this day with quiet confidence that nothing escapes your notice, nothing unfolds outside your timing, and nothing good is ever truly lost in your care. Lord, trust is not always peaceful at first. It stretches me, confronts my need for control, humbles my impatience. But once I yield, I feel peace flow like water finding its path. I stop striving and start floating. I stop planning and start listening. Trust is a rhythm of release, a gentle exhale that makes room for grace. The world tells me to hold tighter, but you invite me to loosen my grip. The world tells me to strive harder, but you remind me that surrender accomplishes what struggle never can. God, I want to trust you not only with the big things, but with the small, with daily frustrations, with unanswered questions, with the unpredictable flow of life. Trust is not built in grand gestures, but in daily choices to pause instead of panic, to pray instead of worry, to rest instead of react. Each small act of faith becomes a ripple that strengthens the current of peace running through my soul. Let trust become my default, not my last resort. Father, as I breathe in this morning as stillness, I feel the river of trust moving within me. It does not rush, it flows steadily, carving through the hardness of fear, shaping the landscape of my heart into something soft and surrendered. I do not need to see where it ends to know it is leading somewhere holy. You are the source and the destination, the beginning and the beyond. So I release my need to control, my urgency to know, my fear of waiting. I surrender to your rhythm the pace of grace, the wisdom of delay, the mystery of divine timing. And as this day unfolds, I will flow with that river. I will trust that what is meant for me will find me, not by striving but by surrender. I will trust that every unanswered prayer is still heard, every closed door still opens to purpose, and every delay is preparing something deeper within me. For trust is not simply believing you can, it is resting in the truth that you already are. Father, as trust settles deeply within me like a river finally finding its course, I sense another movement stirring renewal. It comes quietly, not in thunder or noise, but like the first soft wind after rain. Where once there was striving, Now there is stillness. Where once there was fear, now there is flow. You are teaching me that surrender does not lead to emptiness, it leads to transformation. When I let go, you begin to rebuild me in ways I could never have imagined. Renewal is not about becoming someone new, but about remembering who I was before fear took hold, before worry built walls around my heart. Lord, I can feel that every season I have walked through has been preparing me for this awakening. The battles taught me resilience. The silence taught me patience. The losses taught me compassion. Now, as light breaks across this morning, I realize that you were not punishing me when things were stripped away. You were pruning me so that I could bear fruit that lasts. Renewal begins in the hidden places, in quiet surrender, in unseen healing, in the moments when my strength runs out and your spirit steps in. You do not discard what is broken. You restore it into something even more beautiful. God, I used to fear change. I clung to what was familiar, mistaking comfort for safety. But growth requires movement, and renewal requires release. The same way the earth must let go of winter for spring to bloom, my soul must let go of what no longer serves its purpose. Teach me to shed what I have outgrown: old fears, old stories, old patterns of thinking that no longer reflect who you are shaping me to be. Renewal is not rejection of the past. It is redemption of it. Every scar becomes soil for something new to grow. Father, let this renewal touch every corner of my being, my mind, my emotions, my spirit. Heal the parts of me I have ignored because I thought they were too small or too damaged to matter. Shine light into the corners I have kept hidden even from myself. Replace the voices of shame with songs of grace. Let my thoughts be washed clean, not by forgetfulness, but by forgiveness. You are the breath that fills my lungs again, the pulse that reminds me I am alive, the steady whisper that says, "Behold, I make all things new." Lord, renewal is not just for me, it is meant to flow through me. As you refresh my soul, teach me to bring renewal to others. Let my presence carry hope into weary spaces. My words bring healing into wounded hearts. My compassion breathe life into those who have forgotten how to dream. Renewal multiplies when it is shared. When I lift another, I am lifted too. When I forgive, I am freed. When I encourage, I am strengthened. Your spirit moves not in isolation, but in connection. The life you breathe into me becomes a gift I can give away endlessly, because it never runs dry. God, I know renewal often begins in breaking. Seeds split before they sprout, and dawn always comes after the darkest night. Help me not to despise the breaking seasons. When life feels uncertain, remind me that this too is holy ground, the in-between, where old and new meet. You are never absent in the process. You are the process, even when I cannot see progress. Transformation is happening beneath the surface. I am being made new, one quiet surrender at a time. Father, there is a tenderness that comes with renewal, a gentle awareness that life is sacred again. Colors seem brighter, laughter feels deeper, and silence becomes healing instead of heavy. Gratitude awakens as I notice the simple gifts, the sound of birds greeting the dawn, the warmth of sunlight on my skin, the rhythm of my own breathing. Renewal restores my ability to see wonder in what I once overlooked. It brings me back to childlike awe, where faith feels natural and joy flows freely. In this space, I do not have to force belief. I simply receive it. Lord, sometimes renewal requires rebuilding after loss. There are days when faith feels fragile, when dreams feel distant, when I question whether I can begin again. But you are the God of resurrection, the one who turns endings into beginnings. Nothing that dies in your hands stays dead, it is transformed. Let me not mourn the old too long, lest I miss the beauty of the new rising before me. Renewal means letting you write new chapters without fear of what was erased. You do not restore me to what I was. You renew me into what I was always meant to be. God, let renewal also bring balance. In my desire to grow, remind me that rest is part of transformation. Even the earth pauses between seasons. Renewal does not rush, it unfolds in rhythm with grace. Teach me to rest without guilt, to pause without fear of falling behind. In stillness, I find strength. In silence, I find clarity. In surrender, I find direction. Renewal is not a sprint toward perfection, it is a slow returning to peace. Let me walk through this day as one reborn into simplicity, carrying joy not as noise, but as quiet confidence that life itself is sacred. Father, as the morning light expands across the horizon, I feel this renewal not as something outside of me, but as something awakening within. It is the gentle realization that I am being rewritten by love healed, not by striving, but by grace. You are not just fixing what was broken. You are transforming it into a vessel of glory. Now, each breath take is a declaration that new life has begun. The world around me may remain imperfect, but inside me, creation is happening all over again. And as I step into this day, renewed in heart and mind, I carry this truth with me. Transformation is not a single moment, but a continuous unfolding. I do not need to chase new beginnings, they are already written into every sunrise. Every breath, every act of faith, you, Lord, are the breath of renewal that sustains me. And as long as I live, I will rise with you again and again, from darkness to light, from fear to faith, from death to life everlasting. Father, as renewal breathes new life into my soul, I begin to feel a gentle invitation rising from within, a call to be fully here, not trapped in memories of yesterday or chasing promises of tomorrow, but rooted in this sacred now. You whisper that the present moment is holy ground, that eternity is not only something to come, but something unfolding right here. Right now, every breath I take carries your imprint, every second a fresh opportunity to encounter you. Life is not waiting somewhere ahead. It is happening in this very heartbeat. Lord, I confess how often I have missed you by living elsewhere. In the past, I cannot change, or in the future, I cannot control. My mind runs faster than my spirit, chasing answers, replaying regrets. I fill the silence with worry instead of wonder, yet you are not in the noise of what was or the anxiety of what might be. You are in the stillness of what is. Help me to slow down enough to recognize you in this moment. Let my thoughts return from distant corners and find rest in the present, where grace abides. God, remind me that presence is not merely awareness. It is communion. When I am truly here, I am with you. The world becomes a cathedral, and ordinary things turn to prayer. The warmth of sunlight on my face, the rustle of leaves in morning air, the rhythm of breath rising and falling. Each sound, each movement, each sensation becomes a sacred reminder that I am alive, and that life itself is a miracle sustained by your hand. I do not have to look far to find evidence of you. You are woven into everything that is. Father, help me to honor each moment as a gift rather than rushing past it in search of the next. I do not want to live my days merely surviving. I want to live them seeing beauty even in imperfection, seeing purpose even in pauses, seeing your reflection in everything and everyone around me. Life unfolds not in leaps but in small, sacred details, the glance of kindness, the laughter that softens a heavy heart, the quiet courage of choosing peace over pride. Let me not overlook the divine hidden in the daily. Lord, being present requires trust, the willingness to release control of what comes next. Fear tells me that stillness means stagnation, but you teach me that presence is power. When I am fully here, I am grounded in grace, and nothing can shake me from it. I learn to listen more deeply, love more gently, and respond instead of react. I begin to live not from habit, but from awareness, not from anxiety, but from alignment. This is what it means to walk in the Spirit, not constantly striving, but simply abiding. God, teach me to practice presence with people as well as with you. When I speak, let me listen fully. When I love, let me give attention as well as affection. So often, we give half of ourselves because the other half is distracted by what is next. But real connection happens only when we are wholly there. Let my eyes linger when someone speaks, my heart stay open even when conversation grows quiet. Presence heals more than words ever could. It tells another soul, you are seen, you are safe, you matter. Let me be that kind of presence, a living reflection of your attentive love. Father, help me to be present not only in joy but in pain. It is easy to escape hard moments, to numb them with business or hide them under denial. But you call me to stay, to sit with sorrow without fear, to let tears become prayer, to let silence speak what words cannot. When I remain present in suffering, I find you there too, not as a distant observer, but as the companion who feels every ache beside me. Presence does not remove pain. It redeems it. It transforms despair into depth and wounds into wisdom. Lord, teach me that the present is where transformation truly happens. The past is memory. The future is mystery, but the present is miracle. It is the meeting point between my weakness and your strength, between my questions and your peace. When I learn to dwell here, I begin to taste eternity before reaching it. Each moment becomes saturated with meaning, not because of what I achieve, but because of who is here with me. You are not waiting at the finish line. You are walking beside me in every step. God, let me not confuse motion with progress. The world moves fast, but the soul grows slowly. Presence requires patience, and patience is love stretched across time. Teach me to value depth over speed, connection over completion, being over doing. The sacred rhythm of life is not measured by how much I accomplish, but by how fully I inhabit each moment. Even in stillness, There is movement, the quiet unfolding of grace, the invisible blooming of faith. Father, as I breathe in this morning's air, I realize that presence is both my prayer and your answer. Every inhale is your gift. Every exhale, my surrender. This rhythm ties heaven and earth together in one continuous act of love. I do not need to chase what is already here. I only need to wake up to it. And as this day begins, I choose to live awake. I will see the divine in small things, feel gratitude in simple moments, and bring my full attention to the now that you have so carefully shaped. I will let my thoughts slow to the pace of grace. I will let my heart listen more than it speaks. I will carry this awareness like light in my chest, a quiet reminder that every second is sacred, every breath is borrowed grace, and every heartbeat is proof that you are near. Father, as I continue to dwell in this sacred awareness of the present, I sense something unfolding deeper, a calm that feels older than time itself. It is not silence that demands the absence of sound, but peace that exists beneath all noise. It is as if, beneath every heartbeat, a quiet melody hums your song of stillness, the music that holds creation together. I realize that peace is not a destination I must reach. It is a presence I must remember. It has been here all along, waiting for me beneath the noise of my fears, beneath the rush of my thoughts, beneath the surface of everything. Lord, I used to think peace meant control, that if I could manage every outcome, silence every doubt, and fix every flaw, I would finally rest. But now I see that peace begins not when I hold everything together, but when I let go of trying to. True peace is not perfection. It is surrender. It is the quiet trust that even when everything around me shifts, you remain the same. The world teaches me to chase stability through possession or certainty. But you invite me into the deeper kind of stability, anchored not in circumstances, but in connection to you, God. Teach me to dwell in this stillness without guilt. The world often confuses rest with laziness, quiet with passivity, peace with avoidance. Yet I am learning that rest is not escape, it is alignment. In your stillness, I do not withdraw from life. I return to it renewed. Peace does not remove me from responsibility. It strengthens me for it. Stillness is not the absence of action, but the foundation of it. From this center, I can move with clarity instead of chaos, with intention instead of impulse. Let peace be the pulse of my being, the rhythm that shapes how I live and love. Father, I know that peace requires practice. My mind often wanders to worries it cannot solve. My heart races toward fears that may never come true. But each time I remember you, even for a moment, I feel the weight lift. I am reminded that peace does not come from knowing every answer, but from knowing you hold every answer. It is not about predicting what will happen, but trusting that whatever happens, you will still be there. Teach me to return to this truth again and again, to choose stillness in the middle of storms, to breathe deeply when the world moves too fast, to pause before reacting so that grace has time to catch up with my thoughts. Lord, there is beauty in quiet moments that the world often overlooks. The sound of rain tapping on windows, the slow sway of trees, the heartbeat of the earth, all of them carry the same message. Peace is not gone. It is waiting to be noticed. The more I listen, the more I hear you in everything, in laughter that softens sorrow, in wind that cools the restless mind, in the hush that follows forgiveness. Peace is not hiding. I simply forget to listen. Let me carry this listening heart into the day attuned, aware, awake to the harmony you are always composing. God, sometimes I wonder how to keep peace when the world feels loud with conflict. There are days when chaos spills over from the outside into my thoughts, when opinions clash, when tempers rise, when love feels buried beneath noise. On those days, remind me that peace begins within, not beyond. I cannot force the world to quiet, but I can let you quiet me. You never ask me to control others, only to cultivate calm in my own spirit. When my heart is still, I become a reflection of your steadiness. Peace is contagious when it is authentic. Let me be a living reminder that calm is possible, even when the world is storming. Father, let peace also shape my words. Teach me to speak with gentleness that carries truth, but not harm, conviction, but not pride. The right words, spoken from a peaceful heart, can heal what anger breaks. When others speak with sharpness, let my voice remain soft. When arguments tempt me to prove a point, remind me that peace wins more hearts than power ever could. My words do not need to echo loud to be strong. They need only to echo love. Lord, teach me to protect my peace without building walls. It is easy to confuse boundaries with barriers, but you call me to balance compassion with discernment. Peace does not mean saying yes to everything. It means learning when to rest, when to speak, when to withdraw, and when to stay. A heart at peace is not a heart without pain. It is a heart that knows where to find healing. Let my soul learn this sacred rhythm, the dance between openness and solitude, between giving and resting, between doing and simply being. God, let me remember that peace is a divine inheritance, not a luxury. It is not something earned by effort, but received through faith. The world will always offer imitation, peace momentary distractions, fleeting pleasures, empty victories, but only your peace endures. It is the kind that transcends understanding because it flows from eternity itself. It does not depend on who I am, but on who you are. It is the calm that held Jesus asleep in a storm, the same calm that whispers through my heart now. Be still. Father, as morning light stretches across the horizon, I sit in quiet wonder at how far you have brought me. I no longer crave the world's definition of success or safety. I crave the stillness that keeps me close to you. Each breath I take feels like a hymn of gratitude, each pause like a prayer. I realize now that peace is not something I visit. It is something I live in. It is the dwelling place of the soul that trusts, the home of the heart that listens. And as I rise to face the day, I carry this peace with me not as a fragile state to protect, but as a living presence that protects me. It goes before me into every conversation, follows me into every challenge, holds me steady in every storm. It is not dependent on what happens next. It simply is. For you, Lord, are peace itself, the stillness before creation, the calm within chaos, the quiet after the storm, the endless song that begins again with every sunrise. Father, as peace settles like soft light across my soul, I feel you gently leading me toward the next truth, that peace is not meant to stay still. It is meant to become love in motion. From stillness grows compassion, the living expression of your heart through human hands. Peace that stays within is serenity, but peace that reaches outward is love. You are reminding me this morning that compassion is not an emotion. It is a response. It is the overflow of a heart so deeply anchored in you that it cannot help but pour itself out for others. Lord, compassion begins in seeing. Teach me to see as you do, not with eyes that judge, but with eyes that understand. The world is full of stories hidden behind faces, battles fought in silence, tears disguised as strength. Let me not pass by quickly or speak carelessly. Slow me down enough to notice the small signs of pain around me, the sigh too quiet to hear, the eyes that look away, the heart pretending to be fine. Let every act of attention become an act of love. You never turned from the wounded. You walked toward them. Let me walk the same way. God, sometimes compassion feels heavy. The weight of others' suffering can overwhelm. The depth of brokenness can make hope seem small. But you remind me that compassion does not mean carrying the world alone. It means carrying it with you. I am not called to fix every sorrow, only to love within it. To be present is sometimes the greatest miracle. Help me to remember that when I sit beside someone in silence, when I listen without rushing to answer, when I choose empathy instead of avoidance, those moments are sacred. Compassion is not about doing more, but about being more available, more open, more like you. Father, there are times I want to withdraw when love becomes difficult. It is easy to show kindness to those who are gentle, but harder to love the ones who wound out of their own pain. Yet you loved those who cursed you. You forgave those who betrayed you. Teach me that compassion is strongest when it costs something. It does not mean agreeing with wrong, but seeing beyond it. It is the ability to recognize that every soul, no matter how lost, is still one you died to redeem. Let my love be wide enough to hold both truth and mercy, both conviction and grace. Lord, let compassion also shape how I see myself. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one in the mirror. I am quick to extend grace to others, but slow to believe I deserve it too. Yet you never separate me from your mercy. When you look at me, you see not failure but potential, not shame but redemption. Teach me to treat myself with the same kindness I would offer another soul in need. Self-compassion is not selfish. It is stewardship. I cannot pour out love if I am always empty. Let me rest in your acceptance so that my love for others flows from fullness, not exhaustion. God, show me how compassion can heal even without words. There are people whose hearts will never read a verse or hear a sermon, but they will feel your presence through gentleness, through kindness, through a single moment of sincere care. A smile, a helping hand, an embrace can preach louder than speeches. Let my life become that kind of message. Let the fragrance of love linger wherever I go. Not because I seek attention, but because your spirit leaves traces of heaven through every act of grace. Compassion is the language every heart understands, and I want to speak it fluently. Father, Sometimes compassion means standing up when it would be easier to stay quiet. Love is not always soft. Sometimes it is courageous. Teach me when to speak truth for the sake of healing. Not winning. Let my voice be firm but not harsh, honest but not cruel. The world needs more hearts that can love fiercely and gently at once. You never separated strength from tenderness. They lived together in you. Let them live together in me. Lord, there are moments when compassion demands endurance, when I keep giving even when I see no change, when I forgive though the wound still aches, when I love without being loved in return. In those times, remind me that every act of compassion, no matter how small or unseen, ripples into eternity. Love is never wasted. Every seed sown in faith grows somewhere unseen. The world may not notice, but heaven does. And you, who see all, never let love go unnoticed or unrewarded. God, fill my heart with the kind of compassion that transcends differences, the love that sees beyond color, creed, or status. The love that listens more than it lectures, that bridges divides instead of building walls. Let me be part of healing rather than division, hope rather than hostility. Teach me to choose kindness over cleverness, understanding over opinion, humility over pride. True compassion does not seek to be right. It seeks to make things right. It is not limited by agreement, but expanded by grace. Father, as the morning unfolds around me, I feel the warmth of sunlight spreading like a quiet blessing, and I understand. This is what compassion feels like when it flows freely. It warms without burning. It gives without depleting. It heals without asking for return. You, who are love itself, are the source of this endless well. Let me live as a reflection of that love, steady, patient, unhurried, unshaken. And as I rise to meet the world again, I carry this gentle fire within me, the light of compassion that neither flickers nor fades. I will walk through the day ready to listen, to forgive, to serve, to love, not out of duty, but out of delight. For when I choose compassion, I do not simply show who I am, I reveal who you are through me. Father, as I stand at the edge of this sacred journey, I feel the quiet fullness of all that has unfolded, from the trembling whispers of surrender to the steady rhythm of trust. From the ache of brokenness to the rise of renewal, you have led me gently, faithfully, through every valley and dawn. Each prayer has not simply been a collection of words, it has been a transformation of being. You have written your peace upon my breath, your love upon my heart, and your light upon my path. This morning, as the world begins to awaken again, I realize that faith is not a single sunrise, but an endless dawn that keeps unfolding within the soul. Lord, through these moments of communion, you have shown me that prayer is not an escape from the world, it is an awakening to it. It is not a ritual of distance, but a rhythm of return. I have learned to find you not only in sacred hours, but in ordinary seconds, in the laughter that carries across a quiet room, in the pause between thoughts, in the softness of a heart choosing love when it could choose anger. You are not confined to temples or altars. You dwell within every breath. And now, Every inhale becomes worship. Every exhale becomes surrender. Every heartbeat becomes a gentle echo of eternity. God, you have taught me that faith is less about certainty and more about constancy. It is walking even when the road fades, believing even when the outcome hides. It is the quiet courage to keep showing up, to pray when the heart feels dry, to love when the world feels cold, to hope when the sky feels silent. Each time I return to these prayers, you met me in the same place with patience. You never hurried me, never scolded me for wavering. Instead, you waited, steady as dawn, reminding me that grace is not earned through perfection, but experienced through presence. Father, now I see that the greatest miracle is not the removal of struggle, but the transformation of it. You turned my doubts into depth, my pain into purpose, my fears into fuel for faith. You did not simply fix what was broken. You used the cracks to let your light shine through. What once felt like endings became beginnings. What once felt like silence became song. This is the mystery of grace. It rewrites every story, even the ones written in tears. You are the author who never stops revising until redemption fills every page. Lord, I thank you for every moment of awakening that has carried me to this place. For the lessons that hurt and the ones that healed. For the nights that tested and the mornings that renewed. Each chapter of this journey has been a mirror of your mercy. I am not who I was when I began. I am quieter inside, steadier in spirit, more open to wonder. I no longer seek control over every hour. I seek communion within it. I no longer fear the unknown. I have come to trust the one who walks beside me through it. God, as I continue beyond this prayer, let me not carry only words, but a way of living. Let peace become the ground beneath my steps, gratitude the air I breathe, compassion the language I speak. Let forgiveness flow through me like a river that never runs dry. Let hope rise in me each morning like sunlight spilling over the hills. I want to live not as someone who prays occasionally, but as someone who becomes prayer itself, a living reflection of your love, a vessel through which your presence can touch the world. Father, help me remember that the journey of faith never truly ends. It continues in every act of kindness, in every quiet choice to believe again, even when the world forgets to pause. Let me carry this stillness within when storms arise. Let me return to the peace you have planted here when darkness falls. Let me remember that light does not need to shout, it simply shines. I may not always feel strong, but I will always be held. I may not always see the path, but I will always be guided. The same grace that began this journey will sustain it. Lord, as I look toward the horizon, I see more than a sunrise. I see promise. The same light that once broke through my night now rests gently upon everything around me. It glows on the faces I love, the roads I will travel, the dreams still unfolding. I do not know what each day will bring, but I know who brings the day. That knowledge is enough. It is the quiet assurance that no prayer is ever lost, no tear ever wasted, no heart ever too far to be reached by your mercy. God, to those who have walked this journey with me, every listener, every soul who has prayed these words, I offer gratitude. Thank you for walking beside me through every reflection, every silence, every breath of faith. This shared prayer has been more than words. It has been a bridge connecting hearts across time and distance, drawing us all closer to the same eternal love. You, Father, have written our stories into the same page of grace. To you who are hearing these final words, thank you for staying until the end of this sacred path. You are part of this light now. Carry it with you into the day ahead. Let it soften your heart when the world feels hard. Let it remind you to pause, to breathe, to trust, and when you speak, may your words be gentle. When you love, may your love be fierce. When you pray, may your prayer be not just a plea, but a presence. If this journey has touched your heart, I invite you to share your own prayer, your own reflection, your own moment of grace in the space below. Every story of faith becomes a spark in someone else's darkness. And if these words have reminded you of the beauty of stillness, of the strength of belief, I ask you to stay connected, subscribe, share, and keep walking this path with me. Together we can keep this flame alive, one sunrise at a time. For though this prayer comes to its final words, its spirit does not end here. It flows outward through every act of kindness, every quiet thankfulness, every moment of peace you carry into the world. And as the first light of morning glows across the horizon, touching the earth with warmth and grace, I feel your presence again. Father, gentle as the wind, steady as the dawn, eternal as the light that never fades.